Seo Hyunwoo's mother shoves him off the dock. He crashes into the freezing lake, gasping for air. She screams at him to run and never look back. His father's body crumples to the ground behind her. A man in a black coat holds a glowing gravity amulet. The air bends and crushes the old man's bones. Hyunwoo sinks into the dark, silent water. The Seo family ruled the city's underworld for decades. No one dared challenge them until the Gu family made a power play. They orchestrated the entire massacre at the Seo family's annual banquet. Hyunwoo was only 16, bored, and sneaking sips of champagne. Then gunfire erupted from the garden, and bodies started dropping. Our boy watched his cousins and uncles get mowed down. His father, the family head, grabbed a sword and charged forward. Gu Myung-soo stepped out of the shadows with that cursed amulet. He pointed it at Hyunwoo's father and spoke a single command. Gravity tripled in a 10-meter radius around the old man. His legs snapped first, then his spine, then his ribs. The family patriarch was flattened like a pancake in seconds. Hyunwoo froze, staring at the man who just murdered his dad. His mother yanked him by the collar and dragged him away. She knew the estate had an escape route by the lake. They ran past burning pavilions and screaming servants. Gunmen took potshots at them but missed in the chaos. Hyunwoo's mother pushed him onto the wooden dock. She turned back to buy him a few extra seconds. A bullet caught her in the chest as she shielded him. She fell, still telling him to live and avenge them. The boy tumbled into the water, swallowing his own scream. He kept his eyes open under the surface, watching the flames. Bodies splashed around him as more guests were killed. Gu Myung-soo walked to the dock, amulet still glowing. He scanned the lake but gave up after a minute. The man muttered something about the kid being dead anyway. Hyunwoo stayed submerged until his lungs burned. He clawed his way to the underside of the boathouse. From the shadows, he saw Gu's men drag away his mother's body. His father's corpse was already wrapped in a tarp. The entire Seo bloodline was wiped out in one night. But guess what? One kid survived, and that kid was now staring at the world through freezing water. He didn't cry. He just made a promise to himself right there. He would find everyone responsible and crush them. No exceptions. Not a single soul would walk away alive. A man found him the next morning, shivering in the boathouse. His name was Kang Tae-ho. He was tall, scarred, and smelled like old ash. He looked at the boy and asked if he wanted power. Hyunwoo nodded without a word. Kang took him to a hidden temple outside the city. For 5 years, he trained Hyunwoo in the art of gravity manipulation. The same power that killed his father, he would now master. Kang never explained why he had that knowledge. He just pushed the kid harder every single day. Hyunwoo learned to increase and decrease gravitational force on anything. He could crush a boulder into dust. He could make a feather feel like a ton. The radius stretched to 50 meters if he focused. Overuse left him exhausted, but never permanently damaged. He was a living weapon forged in solitude and rage, and he never forgot the face of the man with the amulet. Gu Myung-soo. The name was a scar on his mind. 5 years later, our boy is ready. He walks through the front doors of the Gu Corporation building. The lobby is all marble and cold glass. Security guards stiffen the moment they see him. He doesn't look like a businessman. His black coat is too sharp, his eyes too calm. A guard raises a hand to stop him. Hyunwoo doesn't break stride. He flicks a finger and increases the gravity on the guard's arm. The guy's limb slams to his side like it's made of lead. He can't even lift his gun. The second guard reaches for his radio. Hyunwoo targets his legs. The man drops to his knees, groaning. Concrete cracks under the added pressure. The receptionist screams and ducks behind her desk. Hyunwoo walks past them without a single word. He steps into the elevator and presses the top floor button. The doors close on the scene of groaning guards and panicked employees. Nobody hits the alarm. They all know who owns the top floor. Halfway up, a man in a suit gets on at the executive level. He eyes Hyunwoo suspiciously. "Can I help you?" he asks. Our boy just stares ahead. The man reaches into his jacket for a weapon. Big mistake. Hyunwoo increases the gravity on the entire elevator car. The man's hand gets pinned to his own hip. He slumps against the wall, gasping. The elevator groans, but keeps ascending. Hyunwoo releases the pressure when the doors open on the penthouse. The man slides to the floor, unconscious. Our boy steps over him like a piece of trash. Gu Myung-soo's office takes up the entire floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows show the city skyline. A huge mahogany desk sits at the far end. A secretary shrieks when she sees Hyunwoo. She stammers that he can't be here without an appointment. He ignores her and scans the room. No sign of Gu. The leather chair behind the desk is empty. A half-smoked cigar still smolders in an ashtray. He must have left in a hurry. Hyunwoo walks to the window and looks down. A black sedan pulls out of the underground garage. He recognizes the silhouette in the back seat. Gu Myung-soo, the man who slaughtered his family. The man with the gravity amulet. He knows Hyunwoo is here. The car speeds toward the highway and disappears. Hyunwoo doesn't panic. He just lets out a slow breath. The hunt begins, and our boy has 5 years of hell to pay back. He turns away from the window and heads for the stairwell. He's not done with this building yet. Not by a long shot. He takes the stairs 3 at a time. His feet barely touch the concrete. Our boy lightens his own body with a gravity shift. He practically glides down the stairwell. The walls blur past. Employees scatter when they see him coming. Nobody tries to stop him. They already heard what happened in the lobby. A junior exec flattens himself against the railing. Hyunwoo doesn't even slow down. He hits the parking level door so hard it flies off its hinges. Underground garage B3. The air reeks of burnt rubber and cheap cologne. His eyes snap to the empty parking space. Tire marks streak across the concrete. The black sedan is gone. Security guards are still scrambling near the ramp. One of them spots him and reaches for his radio. Big mistake. Hyunwoo flicks a finger and triples the gravity on the guy's hand. The radio clatters to the floor. The guard drops to his knees, whimpering. Another guard draws a stun gun. Hyunwoo doesn't even turn around. He increases gravity on the second man's entire torso. The guy collapses like a sack of bricks. The stun gun skids under a nearby SUV. The parking attendant inside the glass booth is shaking. Hyunwoo walks straight toward him. He doesn't shout. He doesn't threaten. He just stares through the glass with those dead calm eyes. The attendant fumbles to unlock the door. He basically begs not to get hurt. Hyunwoo asks which way the black sedan went. The attendant stammers that it took the west exit 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes? That's an eternity in a high-speed escape. Hyunwoo bolts toward the ramp. He rips the boom gate off its bolts with a 5-meter gravity spike. The metal twists like tinfoil. He reaches the street just as the taillights disappear onto the highway overpass. Too far. Even with all his power, he can't stop a car moving 60 miles an hour, not from a rooftop 3 blocks away. The city swallows the sedan whole. Gu Myung-soo is gone, again. Our boy stands there for 3 breaths. No rage, no screaming. Just a cold, flat calculation. He turns back toward the parking booth. The attendant is already on the phone. He freezes when he sees Hyunwoo walking back. Phone drops from his hand. Hyunwoo gives him one look. The guy faints. Straight up collapses in his little plastic chair. Hyunwoo steps over the unconscious guards and heads for the maintenance exit. A camera swivels on the ceiling. He could crush, but that would just confirm what they already know. He lets it watch. Let them report that the ghost from 5 years ago just walked through their fortress and vanished into thin air. The steel door leads to a service alley behind the building. Old food crates and a dumpster. Hyunwoo pulls his coat tighter and disappears into the afternoon crowd. Guess what? Gu Myung-soo is now running scared. And scared men make mistakes. That's exactly what our boy is counting on. The sun is low by the time he reaches his safe house, a cheap rental unit above a print shop in the industrial district. The landlord doesn't ask questions. The walls are thin and the hot water barely works, but it's invisible. He bolts the door and checks the window. The street below is quiet. He pulls out a burner phone and checks for messages. Nothing from Kang Tae-ho. The old man trained him and then vanished. No explanation. No goodbyes. Hyunwoo still doesn't know why Kang had that knowledge, but that's a question for another day. Right now, the only thing that matters is finding Gu before he goes underground. He slumps into the chair and replays the day in his head. The lobby guards, the elevator suit, the empty penthouse. Gu knew he was coming. Someone tipped him off, which means there's a leak somewhere. Or Gu has surveillance on every SEO family contact. Either way, our boy can't walk through the front door a second time. He needs a different kind of entry. Intel. A crack in Gu's armor that isn't guarded by 20 security cameras. The burner phone buzzes. Unknown number. 1 line of text. Old man wants to talk. South alley behind the fish market. 1 hour. Hyunwoo stares at the screen. He doesn't know who sent it, but old man can only mean one person. Hwang Jung-soo, his father's former fixer. A chain-smoking relic from the old days who knew every crooked politician in the city. If Hwang is still alive, then the CO network isn't completely dead. He pockets the phone and grabs a fresh shirt. The fish market is 30 minutes across town. Guess he's going for a walk. He reaches the south alley just as the streetlights flicker on. The alley is narrow and stinks of week-old fish guts. Cardboard boxes are piled against the wall. A single bulb buzzes over a rusted door. At first, the alley looks empty. Then a silhouette shifts in the shadows. An old man in a threadbare coat steps forward. His face is a roadmap of wrinkles and scar tissue. Hwang Jung-soo. He looks at Hyunwoo for a long time. Then he breaks into a tired grin. He says he knew the boy wasn't dead. Nobody believed him, but he knew. Hyunwoo says he doesn't have time for nostalgia. He wants Gu Myung-soo. Hwang lights a cigarette. The match flares for a second and then dies. He takes a long drag and says, Gu is not the same man he was 5 years ago. He's paranoid. He never sleeps in the same place twice. He only shows his face in public at one location, the Golden Dragon Casino, Tuesday nights, heavily guarded. Hyunwoo asks what kind of guards. Hwang says a man called No Sung-ho runs security. The guy is built like a tank and can punch through concrete. Enhanced physical abilities. Key reinforcement. And he's loyal to Gu like a brainwashed dog. Hyunwoo remembers the name. Kang mentioned him once during training. A fighter who traded his humanity for raw power. Hwang says there's something else. Gu uses the gravity amulet in the casino's VIP room. The high roller tables are rigged. Gu triples gravity on the dice or the roulette wheel whenever he's about to lose. Nobody can prove it. But the man never loses a single hand. Our boy doesn't care about his gambling habit. He just wants the man's neck under his boot. Hwang crushes the cigarette against the wall. He says the casino is a fortress. Metal detectors, facial recognition cameras, undercover security on every floor. If Hyunwoo walks in guns blazing, he'll be dead before he reaches the second floor. He needs a plan. And he needs to go in quiet. Hyunwoo asks if Hwang can get him inside. Hwang pulls a small envelope from his coat pocket. Inside is a casino membership card. It's not in Hyunwoo's name, but the photo looks close enough. He also hands over a napkin, a floor plan scribbled in pencil. The VIP room, the security station, the back exits. Everything marked. Hwang says this is all he can do. He's too old to fight, too scared to be seen. He begs Hyunwoo not to contact him again. The boy stares at the napkin. Hwang turns to leave. Then he pauses. He says one more thing. Gu is not the top of the food chain. There's something bigger. A group called The Order. Hyunwoo's eyes narrow. He asks what the hell The Order is. Hwang shakes his head. He doesn't know much. Just whispers. Old men in dark suits. They own the police, the politicians, half the city. Gu is just a puppet. If Hyunwoo cuts the strings, the puppeteer will come looking. Hwang slips into the shadows and is gone. Our boy stands alone in the alley. The fish stink, and the distant traffic hum. The Order. A new name to add to his list. But first, Gu Myung-soo. He folds the napkin and pockets the membership card. His blood is cold. His focus is razor sharp. The Golden Dragon Casino sits on the east side of the river. A gaudy tower of gold glass and neon dragons. He's seen it from a distance. Tonight he's going inside. Tuesday is 3 days away. That gives him 72 hours to prepare. He walks back to the safe house under the cover of darkness. The print shop is closed. He climbs the stairs 2 at a time. Inside, he spreads the floor plan on the table. The casino has 15 floors. The VIP room is on the 8th. Security cameras are marked with red dots. There are at least 20 of them. The security station is on the 3rd floor. No Sung-ho owns that entire section. That's the first obstacle. No getting around it. Hyunwoo studies the layout. He can't use gravity on the whole building at once, not without passing out. He'll need to move fast and disable key points one at a time. The cameras first, then the guards, then No Sung-ho. And when Gu reaches for his amulet, Hyunwoo will be ready. He slides the napkin into his pocket and checks his gear. The black coat, a pair of steel-toed boots. No weapons. He doesn't need them. His body is the weapon. He closes his eyes and pictures the penthouse, the empty chair, the half-smoked cigar, the escape car. This time, Gu won't outrun him. Not in a confined space. Not with gravity on his side. 3 days. 3 days until the Golden Dragon opens its doors to high rollers, and one very unwanted guest. Our boy cracks his knuckles. The hunt is far from over. It's about to get loud. 3 days vanish inside that dusty print shop. Our boy barely sleeps. He memorizes every corner of the floor plan. Red dots for cameras, green lines for patrol routes. The security station sat on the 3rd floor like a fat spider in a web. Tuesday night arrives with a cold drizzle that slicks the streets. Hyunwoo pulls the black coat tighter and walks toward the Golden Dragon Casino. The tower blazes against the night sky. Gold glass and neon dragons coil around the outer walls like serpents guarding a tomb. A doorman in a red suit checks the fake membership card. He glances at the photo, then at Hyunwoo's face. The doorman nods and steps aside. No metal detectors at the main entrance because the real screening happens upstairs. Our boy strolls through the lobby like he owns the place. Slot machines shriek and clatter all around him. Waitresses in tight dresses glide past with trays of champagne. Nobody looks at the kid in the long black coat. Hyunwoo's eyes sweep the ceiling. He counts 6 cameras before he reaches the elevator bank. He walks straight past the gold-plated doors and shoves through a maintenance door marked No Entry. The stairwell stinks of bleach and old cigarette smoke. He lightens his body with a gravity shift. His boots skim the concrete risers without a sound. He climbs 2 floors in under 30 seconds. 3rd floor landing. A camera hangs above the door leading to the security station. Hyunwoo focuses a narrow gravity spike on the mounting bracket. The metal groans, and the camera tilts downward. It stares at the floor now instead of the hallway. He slips through the door into a corridor lined with monitors behind glass. Two guards sit at a desk watching a wall of screens. Neither sees him until he's already inside the room. The first guard reaches for a panic button. Hyunwoo doubles the gravity on the man's arm. His hand slams onto the desk so hard the coffee cup jumps. The second guard lunges out of his chair. Hyunwoo flicks 2 fingers and triples gravity around the man's legs. He drops face first onto the tile with a sick crack. Both men groan and stop moving. Our boy turns toward the heavy steel door at the back of the room. It swings open before he touches it. A giant fills the doorway. No Sung-ho. The man looks carved from a slab of granite. His neck is thicker than Hyunwoo's thigh. A sleeveless black shirt shows arms wrapped in corded muscle. Ki ripples across his skin like heat haze over asphalt. He cracks his knuckles, and the sound echoes like breaking timber. No says he knew the boy would come. He says Gu warned him about the little gravity rat sniffing around. Hyunwoo does not answer. He simply increases gravity on No's entire body. 4 times normal weight presses down on the giant. No's knees buckle half an inch. Then he laughs. Kai flares bright blue and the pressure shatters like glass. The floor tiles around his feet crack into a spiderweb. He lunges. His fist comes in faster than anything that size should move. Hyunwoo shifts his gravity sideways and skids out of the path. The punch hits the wall instead. Concrete explodes in a shower of dust and rebar. Our boy feels the shockwave ripple through his chest. He slaps both palms forward and crushes No with a 5 times gravity burst. The giant's spine compresses. He drops to one knee with a grunt, but he isn't done. No plants his fists on the floor and pushes back up. Key reinforcement crawls over his body like glowing veins. He surges forward again and swings a brutal haymaker. Hyunwoo cannot dodge completely. He raises a gravity barrier by pushing air density around his forearm. The impact still sends him sliding 10 feet across the floor. His boots leave rubber streaks on the tile. No follows instantly. He grabs a metal desk and rips it off its bolts. The whole thing flies at Hyunwoo like a giant fly swatter. Hyunwoo flips his palm upward. The desk halts midair and hovers for a heartbeat. He spikes it back at triple gravity straight into No's chest. The giant catches it with both arms, but the force drives him into the wall. Drywall craters around his back. No is breathing hard now. Blood trickles from his nose. Our boy walks forward and increases gravity again. 6 times. The giant's arms tremble, and the desk pins him like a press. His key flickers, stutters, and dies. No slides down the wall and lands on his knees. The metal desk clatters to the side. Hyunwoo stands over him and places one boot on his chest. He does not push down. Gravity pushes for him. 7 times normal weight presses No's spine against the floor. The giant coughs blood. He says the boy is stronger than Gu thought. He says it doesn't matter. Hyunwoo asks why. No grins through red teeth. He says Gu is just a puppet. He says the order will crush the boy like a bug. Hyunwoo asks what the order really is. No laughs and spits blood onto the tile. He says they own this city. The police, the politicians, the judges. Every man who wears a suit answers to them. He says killing Gu will not end anything. It will only open the door to something much worse. Hyunwoo stares down at him. His face shows nothing. He asks where Gu is tonight. No says Gu is not here. He says the casino was a trap. Gu knew the boy got the tip from the old man. He leaked it on purpose. Hyunwoo's jaw tightens. The old informant sold him out. No says Gu wanted the boy to walk into this room so No could break every bone in his body. Too bad for Gu. Our boy increases gravity one more time. 8 times. No's eyes roll back and he goes limp. Not dead, just out cold. Hyunwoo lifts his boot and steps over the giant. He checks the security monitors. The VIP room on the 8th floor is dark and empty. No Gu. No high rollers. Nothing but empty chairs and dead screens. The whole thing was a setup. He wipes blood off his lip. His own nose is bleeding just a little. Overuse always costs a bit of stamina. He can feel the fatigue pulling at his muscles, but he turns and walks out anyway. He takes the maintenance stairs back down. Cleaners push mops across the lobby. No alarms, no siren. The casino covers up its own messes. That is how Gu runs his world. Hyunwoo slips out a side exit into the drizzle. The cold rain feels good on his face. He walks 10 blocks through dark alleys until he reaches the print shop. The sign still says closed. He climbs the stairs slowly this time. His legs ache and his temples throb. He pushes open the door to the safe house and freezes. A woman is standing in the middle of the room. She wears a gray trench coat and holds a small notepad. Her hair is pulled back in a tight ponytail. Han Ji-yu. She does not run. She does not scream. She just looks at him and flips open the notepad. She says she has been looking for him for 3 weeks. Hyunwoo asks who the hell she is. She says her name is Han Ji-yu. She is a reporter. She has been investigating the Gu family for 2 years. She has documents, witness statements, financial records. Enough to put Gu Myung-soo in prison for life. The problem is, nobody will publish it. The police bury her reports, and her editor keeps telling her to drop it. She says the order has its hands in every newsroom. Hyunwoo's eyes narrow. He asks how she found this place. Ji-yu says she tracked him from the Gu Corporation building. She saw him fight the guards. She saw him move like gravity was a toy. She says she wants to make a deal. Our boy laughs without humor. He asks what a reporter could possibly offer him. Ji-yu pulls a folded paper from her coat. She hands it over. Hyunwoo opens it and reads the first line. It is a schedule. Gu Myung-soo's public calendar for the next month. Ji-yu says she has a source inside Gu's staff. A secretary who hates the man almost as much as she does. The calendar shows a banquet at the Black Orchid Hotel. 3 days from now. Gu will attend in person. He will bring the gravity amulet. He always does. Hyunwoo asks why he should trust her. Ji-yu says he does not have to trust her. She just wants protection. One of her informants was found dead last week, throat cut. She knows she is next unless she finds someone strong enough to keep her alive. Hyunwoo stares at her for a long moment. He asks what else she knows about the order. Ji-yu pulls out a second document, a list of names. 10 men, all powerful, politicians, judges, a police commissioner. She says they are just the outer ring. The inner circle is smaller. Nobody knows their names, except maybe Gu. Hyunwoo folds the schedule and tucks it into his coat. He tells Ji-yu she can stay, but she earns her keep. She shares every scrap of intel she gets. She does not leave the safe house without his permission. She does not contact anyone. Ji-yu nods without hesitation. She says she has been living like a ghost for months anyway. She says there is one more thing. The banquet at the Black Orchid is invitation only. Hyunwoo will need more than a fake membership card. She opens her notepad and tears out a page. A sketch of the hotel floor plan. Ji-yu says the banquet hall is on the 12th floor. Security will be triple what he saw at the Gu building. Gu will have bodyguards with Kai reinforcement everywhere, and the amulet gives him a counterfield. If Hyunwoo tries to crush him like he crushed No, the amulet will push back. Our boy listens and says nothing. Ji-yu says she knows a way to disable the amulet temporarily, a magnetic pulse generator. She can get one from a contact in the tech district. Hyunwoo asks how long she needs. She says 48 hours. He nods. He tells her to get it. Ji-yu grabs her coat and heads for the door. She pauses with her hand on the knob. She says she is glad he did not kill her. Hyunwoo does not answer. She slips out into the night. The room goes quiet. Our boy sinks onto the old mattress in the corner. His muscles burn. No Sung-ho was a beast. The order is real and huge. The old informant betrayed him. Gu is setting traps and hiding behind an army. Hyunwoo stares at the ceiling. 3 more days until the banquet. This time there will be no empty chair, no black sedan peeling away. He will corner Gu in a room with no exits, and the amulet will not save him. Hyunwoo closes his eyes. The hunt sharpens into something cold and absolute. He is done playing chase. The rain stops sometime around midnight. Our boy lies on the old mattress staring at a water stain on the ceiling. 3 days until the banquet. He does not sleep. He replays every mistake from the casino in his head. The informant's nervous eyes. Nose key shattering 4 times gravity like glass. The empty VIP room. Gu was never there. Gu knew he was coming. Next time Hyunwoo walks into a room, Gu will be ready. And this time, Gu has an amulet that pushes back. Our boy sits up in the dark. His muscles still ache from the fight with No. He presses his palm against the floor and pushes. Gravity bends around his hand. The floorboards creak. He lets go. The power is still there. It is just not enough. Not yet. The next morning, Ji-yu returns with 2 paper bags and a black duffel. She drops the duffel on the table. It lands with a heavy thunk. She says the generator is inside. Hyunwoo unzips the bag. The device is the size of a shoebox. Wires and copper coils packed tight. A hand crank on one side and a dial on the other. Ji-yu says her contact built it for industrial demolition. It sends out a magnetic pulse, strong enough to fry electronics in a 20-meter radius. She says it should disrupt the amulet for about 90 seconds. Hyunwoo asks if she tested it. She says she tested it on a microwave. The microwave exploded. Our boy almost smiles. Ji-yu pulls a fold-in suit from one of the paper bags. Black jacket, black shirt, black tie. She says the banquet has a dress code. Hyunwoo looks at the suit like it is a personal insult. He asks if this is necessary. She says he cannot walk into the Black Orchid looking like a man who sleeps in an abandoned print shop. He takes the suit. The next 48 hours pass in a rhythm. Hyunwoo studies the hotel floor plan until he can draw it from memory. 12th floor. Banquet hall at the end of a long corridor. 2 service stairwells. 1 freight elevator. 6 emergency exits. Cameras at every junction. He traces patrol routes with his finger. Ji-yu brings food and coffee. She sits at the table and writes notes in her pad. She says Gu's secretary confirmed the schedule. The banquet starts at 7. Gu always arrives 15 minutes late. He enters through the private elevator at the north end of the hall. He sits at a table in the back corner. 3 bodyguards minimum, sometimes more. Hyunwoo memorizes everything. On the second night, Ji-yu asks why he is doing this. She says she knows about the massacre. She has read the old police reports. She knows Gu killed his family. She asks if this is just revenge. Our boy does not answer for a long time. Then he says Gu is the first step. He says there are others. More names. More people who gave the order. Ji-yu asks if he means the order. Hyunwoo looks at her. He says he means everyone. The day of the banquet arrives. Hyunwoo puts on the black suit. It fits better than he wants to admit. He slips the magnetic pulse generator into a slim briefcase Ji-yu found at a thrift store. He checks his reflection in a cracked mirror. The scar on his jaw from training. The flat, dead look in his eyes. He looks like a man going to a funeral. That is exactly what this is. Ji-yu hands him a small earpiece. She says she will monitor police scanners from the safe house. If security gets alerted, she will warn him. Hyunwoo puts the earpiece in. He tells her to leave if he does not come back. Ji-yu says she will not. She says she is already dead if he fails. He does not argue. He walks out the door. The Black Orchid Hotel gleams like a glass spear in the evening light. Valets in red jackets park cars. Men in tuxedos and women in gowns climb marble steps. A red carpet stretches from the curb to the entrance. Hyunwoo walks past the valet line. He does not have a car. He does not have an invitation. He circles the block and finds the service alley. 2 kitchen staff smoke near a loading dock. Hyunwoo walks past them like he belongs there. They do not look up. The service door is propped open with a crate of vegetables. He steps inside. The kitchen is chaos. Steam and shouting, pots clanging, plates rattling. Hyunwoo moves through it without slowing. No one sees him. No one cares. Past the kitchen, he finds the staff stairwell. He climbs to the 12th floor. His earpiece crackles. Ji-yu whispers that Gu's motorcade just pulled up. 3 black sedans. 8 men getting out. Gu is in the middle car. Our boy reaches the 12th floor landing. He cracks the door open. The corridor stretches long and gold. Crystal chandeliers. Thick red carpet. 2 security guards stand at the far end near the banquet hall entrance. Hyunwoo steps out and walks toward them. His shoes sink into the carpet. The guards notice him. One raises a hand and asks to see his invitation. Our boy does not stop walking. He increases gravity on both guards at the same time. Their knees buckle. They drop. Their heads hit the carpet. He steps over them. The banquet hall doors are tall mahogany with brass handles. He pushes them open. Inside the room is filled with round tables, draped in white linen, crystal glasses and polished silverware. 200 guests in suits and gowns. A string quartet plays in the corner. Waiters weave between tables with trays of champagne. Hyunwoo scans the room. And there he is. Gu Myung-soo sits at a table in the back corner. Gray hair slicked back. Armani suit. A glass of whiskey in his hand. 3 bodyguards stand behind him. And around his neck on a silver chain hangs the gravity amulet. It glows faintly blue. Hyunwoo starts walking toward him. The string quartet keeps playing. Guests laugh and clink glasses. Nobody notices the man in the black suit moving through the crowd. Gu sees him first. His hand freezes halfway to his glass. His eyes go wide. He whispers something to the bodyguard on his left. The bodyguard reaches into his jacket. Hyunwoo does not slow down. He reaches 20 meters from Gu's table and stops. He raises one hand. Gravity flexes. The bodyguard, with his hand in his jacket, slams face first into the table. Plates shatter. Guests scream. The other 2 bodyguards lunge forward. Hyunwoo pins them both to the floor with tripled gravity. Gu drops his whiskey glass. It shatters on the carpet. He grabs the amulet around his neck and speaks a word. The amulet flares bright blue. A wave of pressure ripples outward. Hyunwoo feels it hit him like a wall of water. His gravity field pushes forward. The amulet pushes back. The air between them hums and distorts. The chandeliers swing. A champagne tower topples and crashes. Guests scramble toward the exits. Waiters abandon their trays. The string quartet drops their instruments and runs. In seconds, the room is empty except for Hyunwoo and Gu, and the 3 unconscious bodyguards. Gu grins with sweat beading on his forehead. He says the boy has gotten stronger. He says he has been waiting for this. Hyunwoo steps closer. The amulet pulses harder. The carpet ripples. A table slides sideways. Our boy's ears pop. He pushes gravity to 6 times. The amulet counters. 8 times. The amulet holds. Hyunwoo's arms shake. Blood drips from his nose. Gu laughs. He says the amulet was made to kill people like him. He says it draws power from a gravity stone older than any living family. He says Hyunwoo will burn himself out before he breaks through. Our boy reaches into his briefcase and pulls out the magnetic pulse generator. He cranks the hand crank once. The device hums. Gu's smile falters. Hyunwoo twists the dial to maximum. The generator screams. A visible pulse of blue-white energy bursts from the device. The lights flicker. The chandeliers go dark. The amulet's glow stutters, flickers, dies. For 90 seconds, it is just a piece of metal on a chain. Gu's face goes pale. He stumbles backward and knocks over his chair. He shouts for more guards. Nobody comes. Hyunwoo walks forward. He raises his hand. Gravity compresses around Gu's body. The old man gasps. His knees hit the floor. The carpet tears under the pressure. Hyunwoo looks down at him. He asks Gu if he remembers a man named Seo Jin-ho. Gu's eyes widen. He says he did not give the order. He says it was the order. He says he can give Hyunwoo names. He says he can pay. He says anything. Our boy tightens the gravity. Gu's ribs creak. He screams. And then the amulet flickers back to life. 90 seconds are up. The blue glow surges. The counter field slams into Hyunwoo like a freight train. He flies backward and crashes through a table. Wood splinters. Glass cuts his face. Gu scrambles to his feet. He gasps and clutches the amulet. He runs for the private elevator at the back of the hall. Hyunwoo pushes himself up. His ribs scream. His vision blurs. He tries to focus his gravity, but the amulet is fully active again. The pressure field pushes him back. Gu jabs the elevator button. The doors slide open. He steps inside and turns around. He says this is not over. He says the order will hunt Hyunwoo to the ends of the earth. He says Hyunwoo will die like his father died, crushed. The elevator doors close. Hyunwoo hurls a gravity spike at the doors. The metal buckles. Too late. The elevator descends. Our boy stands in the ruined banquet hall. Broken glass and overturned tables. Blood dripping from his chin onto his black suit. The magnetic pulse generator is cracked and smoking on the floor. He picks it up anyway. His earpiece crackles. Ji-yu asks if he is alive. He says yes. She asks about Gu. Hyunwoo says Gu escaped. He says the amulet is stronger than they thought. Ji-yu is quiet for a moment. Then she says she is tracking the elevator. Gu is heading to the basement garage. There is still time. Hyunwoo limps toward the stairwell. He takes the stairs 3 at a time. His body protests every step. By the time he reaches the garage level, his lungs burn and his legs shake. The garage is empty. Tire marks on the concrete. The black sedan gone. Again. Our boy stands in the echoing silence. His hands curl into fists. He lost. Not because he was weak, because he did not know what he was fighting. He needs to understand the amulet. He needs to know what it is made of and how to break it. And there is only one person who might know. He pulls out his burner phone. He scrolls to the old text. Old man wants to talk. He types a reply. He asks where. The response comes 30 seconds later. The temple. Hyunwoo leaves the hotel through the service entrance. Sirens wail in the distance. He walks into the night. It takes him 2 hours to reach the temple outside the city. The path is overgrown. The stone gate is cold and silent. He pushes open the heavy wooden door. Inside, the air smells of incense and old paper. A single candle burns on the altar. Kang Tae-ho sits cross-legged on a woven mat in the center of the room. His eyes are closed. His gray hair hangs loose around his shoulders. He does not open his eyes. He says he heard about the casino and the hotel. He says Hyunwoo is lucky to be alive. Our boy drops the cracked generator on the floor. He asks what the amulet really is. Kang opens his eyes. He looks at Hyunwoo's bloodied face and torn suit. He says the amulet contains a fragment of a gravity stone, a stone that was mined from a place that does not exist on any map, a place the Order found 60 years ago. Hyunwoo asks what the Order is. Kang stands up slowly. His joints pop. He walks to a wooden chest in the corner of the room. He opens it and pulls out a scroll, yellowed paper, faded ink. He unrolls it on the floor. The scroll shows a diagram of a human body, surrounded by symbols Hyunwoo does not recognize. Kang says the Order was founded by men who discovered gravity stones in a crater in northern Manchuria. They learned to channel the stone's power. They built fortunes. They bought governments. They killed anyone who threatened them. He says the Seo family was one of those threats. Hyunwoo stares at the scroll. He asks why Kang never told him any of this. Kang says Hyunwoo was not ready. He says he wanted Hyunwoo to master his power before he learned the truth. He says the power Hyunwoo carries is not just a skill. It is a birthright. The Seo bloodline was engineered by the Order itself. 100 years ago, the Order tried to create humans who could manipulate gravity without a stone. Most of the subjects died. A few survived. The Seo family are their descendants. Hyunwoo's legs feel cold. He asks if his father knew. Kang says his father knew everything. He says So Jin-ho spent his life trying to destroy the order from the inside. He says that is why they killed him. Hyunwoo asks how Kang knows all this. Kang is quiet for a long time. Then he says he was one of them. He was a scientist for the order. He helped design the experiments that created the Seo bloodline. He left 40 years ago when he realized what he had done. He has been hiding ever since, training people like Hyunwoo, preparing them. Our boy feels the room tilt. The man who saved him, the man who taught him everything, was part of the machine that murdered his family. He asks if Kang knew about the massacre before it happened. Kang meets his eyes. He says yes. He says he tried to warn So Jin-ho. He was too late. Hyunwoo's fists shake. The floorboards groan under a sudden weight of gravity. Kang does not flinch. He says he deserves Hyunwoo's anger. He says he will carry his guilt for the rest of his life. But right now there is only one thing that matters. Gu's amulet contains a fragment, a single piece. Gu's primary gravity stone is hidden in a vault beneath his mansion. If Hyunwoo can steal that stone, he can match the amulet's power. He can break through the counterfield. He can finally kill Gu. Hyunwoo's breathing steadies. The floorboards stop groaning. He asks where the vault is. Kang unrolls more of the scroll. Beneath the diagram is a map, a detailed layout of Gu's estate. Outer wall, guard posts, surveillance grid, underground vault marked with a red circle. Kang says the vault is protected by a squad called the Iron Fists, elite fighters trained to resist gravity manipulation. They use key-reinforced armor and weapons. Hyunwoo will need help. He says Ji-yu can get the mansion blueprints from her source. He says he will create a distraction. He still has contacts, old debts, people who owe him favors. He can draw the Iron Fists away from the vault. He says Hyunwoo will have a window, maybe 10 minutes, maybe less. It has to be enough. Hyunwoo looks at the map. He memorizes every line, every guard post, every camera. He asks when they move. Kang says tomorrow night. No waiting. No giving Gu time to reinforce. Hit him while he is still rattled from the banquet. Our boy nods. He turns toward the door. Kang calls his name. Hyunwoo stops. Kang says he is sorry. He says he has been sorry every day for 40 years. Hyunwoo does not turn around. He says sorry will not bring his father back. He walks out into the cold night. The stars are bright over the temple. His body is wrecked. His suit is ruined. His face is cut and bruised. But he has a map. He has a plan. And tomorrow night, he takes something Gu cannot afford to lose. The hunt is no longer about revenge alone. Now it is about power, and Hyunwoo is about to level the playing field. The next night comes fast. Ji-yu arrives at the temple with a manila envelope tucked inside her jacket. She pulls out the blueprints and spreads them across the floor. Kang leans over them with a magnifying glass. Our boy stands there in fresh clothes and a black tactical vest. His face is still bruised from the hotel. Ji-yu points at the outer wall of Gu's estate. She says the wall is 12 feet high with razor wire on top. She traces a line to the guardhouse. 3 men inside at all times, rotating patrols every 20 minutes along the perimeter. Dobermans in the garden after dark. Hyunwoo doesn't blink. He's been waiting for this since he was 16 years old. Ji-yu flips to the next page. Underground level. The vault sits 30 feet below the mansion's east wing. Reinforced concrete shell. Steel door 18 inches thick. Electronic lock with a rotating code that changes every 60 seconds. She says there's no way to pick it in time. They'll need the code. Hyunwoo asks how they get it. Kang sets down his magnifying glass. He says Gu's head of security changes the code manually, every night at 11. The man's name is Cha Min-suk, former military intelligence, paranoid, loyal, and he has a mistress in Gangnam he visits every Wednesday. Kang says tonight is Wednesday. Hyunwoo almost smiles. The old man still has his tricks. Ji-yu pulls out a burner phone and slides it across the floor. She says her source inside Gu's household staff will text the code. The source is a maid who's been feeding her information for 2 years. She's terrified. But she owes Ji-yu a debt. Something about a brother and a gambling charge that got erased. Kang says the distraction starts at 10:45. He's called in a favor with an old contact who runs a demolition crew. They're going to blow an abandoned gas main 2 blocks from the estate. Fire trucks, police, chaos. Every guard with a pulse will be looking at the explosion. The Iron Fists will split their attention. That's when Hyunwoo goes in. Our boy memorizes the entry route. Over the east wall, past the koi pond, through the servants' entrance next to the kitchen, down the maintenance stairs to the basement, then the vault corridor. Kang says the Iron Fists number 12 men total. Best case scenario, 6 will still be at the vault when Hyunwoo arrives. Worst case, all 12. Ji-yu asks what the Iron Fists can do. Kang says they wear layered armor woven with key reactive filaments. The filaments disperse gravitational force. They'll feel Hyunwoo's power, but they won't collapse under it. He says Hyunwoo will have to fight. Not crush, fight. Our boy cracks his knuckles. He says he didn't train for 5 years to only use one trick. Kang hands him a pair of weighted gloves. Black leather, steel shots sewn into the knuckles. He says they'll help. Hyunwoo pulls them on and flexes his fingers. The weight feels right. Ji-Yu checks her watch. She says they have 4 hours. Hyunwoo sits down against the wall and closes his eyes. The temple is quiet. Kang rolls up the blueprints. Ji-Yu watches our boy breathe. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. 10 o'clock hits. Hyunwoo stands up. His body no longer hurts. The fatigue from the hotel has burned away. He straps a tactical knife to his thigh, slides the burner phone into his vest pocket, pulls on a black cap that shadows his face. Kang hands him a small earpiece. He says he'll guide Hyunwoo from a rooftop 3 blocks away. He's got a pair of binoculars and a police scanner. If anything goes wrong, he'll call the retreat. Hyunwoo puts the earpiece in. He asks what happens if Kang calls retreat and he doesn't listen. Kang's jaw tightens. He says he knows Hyunwoo won't listen. Our boy actually grins. Then he's out the door. Ji-Yu watches him vanish into the dark. She mutters that he's going to get himself killed. Kang says he's been trying to get himself killed for 5 years. Hasn't stuck yet. The city hums with late-night traffic. Hyunwoo moves through back alleys toward the wealthy district where Goo's estate sprawls across 2 acres of manicured lawn. He stays off main roads, avoids streetlights, keeps his head down. At 10:30, he reaches a shuttered bakery 3 blocks from the estate. He climbs to the roof. The view is clean. He can see the east wall, the guardhouse, the silhouettes of men walking the perimeter. 3 patrols visible, 2 Dobermans on long leashes. Then, at 10:45 exactly, the night explodes. A fireball rises above the rooftops 2 blocks east. The sound hits a half-second later, deep and rolling. Car alarms start screaming. The guards on the perimeter all turn toward the fire. One of them shouts into his radio. Lights flick on inside the mansion. Hyunwoo's earpiece crackles. Kang's voice says 2 patrols are moving toward the front gate. He says, "Go now." Our boy drops off the bakery roof. He lands light, using a gravity shift to cushion the impact. Then he runs. He covers 3 blocks in under 40 seconds. He reaches the east wall and bends his knees. A controlled gravity reduction makes his body float upward. He clears the razor wire by 6 inches, lands soft on the grass inside the estate. No sound, no alarm. He's in. The koi pond glimmers under garden lights. Hyunwoo moves low and fast along the hedge line. A Doberman rounds the corner 20 yards away. Its ears perk up. Hyunwoo flattens against the hedge. He increases gravity on the dog's collar by just a few pounds. The dog whines and drops to its belly. Doesn't bark, just stays there confused. Hyunwoo keeps moving. He reaches the servant's entrance beside the kitchen. The door is unlocked. Ji-Yu's source came through. He slips inside. The kitchen is dark and smells of garlic and sesame oil. Hyunwoo crosses it in 10 silent steps and finds the maintenance stairs. The door is steel and industrial. He opens it and descends. The basement is cold. Concrete walls. Fluorescent lights humming. Hyunwoo follows the corridor Kang showed him on the blueprints. Left turn, right turn, then a long straight hallway that ends in a vault door the size of a bank. And standing in front of it are 8 men in dark gray armor, the Iron Fists. Hyunwoo stops at the corner. He counts them. Not 6, not 12. His burner phone vibrates. The code. He looks at the screen. 7 digits. The earpiece crackles again. Kang says the distraction bought him maybe 8 minutes before the other 4 come back. Our boy breathes. 8 minutes. 8 armored fighters. 1 vault code that expires in 40 seconds. He steps around the corner. The Iron Fists spot him immediately. Lead one shouts for him to get on the ground. Hyunwoo keeps walking. The man charges. His armor glows faintly as the key reactive filaments activate. Hyunwoo throws a gravity spike at his chest. The man staggers but doesn't fall. The filaments flare brighter, and the force scatters across his breastplate. He grins through his helmet and swings a baton. Hyunwoo ducks under it. He plants his right cross into the man's ribs. The weighted glove crunches against the armor. The man exhales hard. Hyunwoo follows with a gravity-assisted uppercut. Triple gravity on his fist at the moment of impact. The man's helmet snaps back, and he hits the floor. 2 more rush in. Hyunwoo sidesteps the first one and crushes his knee with a focused gravity pulse. The second grabs Hyunwoo by the vest and slams him against the wall. Concrete cracks against his spine. Hyunwoo headbutts the guy's faceplate. His forehead splits open, but the helmet dents inward. The man loosens his grip. Hyunwoo shoves him off and increases gravity on his shoulders 4 times. The man grunts and drops to one knee. The filaments in his armor are glowing white hot. They're working. but they're not perfect. Hyunwoo kicks him in the face and puts him down. 3 more circle him. These ones aren't charging in blind. They spread out. One draws a blade. Another pulls a stun prod that crackles with electricity. The third cracks his neck and settles into a fighting stance. Hyunwoo glances at the vault. The keypad is 40 feet away. He doesn't have time for a long fight. He raises both hands. The air pressure in the corridor drops. Every Iron Fist feels their ears pop. Hyunwoo condenses a gravity sphere between his palms, a shimmering distortion the size of a baseball. He compresses it. Then he releases it straight forward. The gravity wave rolls down the corridor like an invisible truck. The 3 fighters brace. Their armor blazes, but the wave still lifts them off their feet and slams them into the vault door. They crumple. 7 down. 1 left. The 8th Iron Fist stands between Hyunwoo and the keypad. He's bigger than the others. His armor is darker, and his stance is different. He says Hyunwoo's power won't work on him. He says his armor was modified. Custom filaments. Triple the dispersal capacity. He says Hyunwoo is out of tricks. Our boy cracks his neck. He says he's got one more. He charges. The big man swings. Hyunwoo slides under the punch and hooks his leg behind the man's knee. He pulses gravity downward on the man's shoulder simultaneously. The upper body drops. The leg trips. The big man topples like a felled tree. Hyunwoo is on him before he hits the ground. He pins the man's arm with one knee. He wraps his other arm around the man's throat. The man gurgles inside his helmet. He thrashes. His strength is monstrous. Hyunwoo tightens the choke. He increases gravity on his own forearm. The pressure builds. The man's struggles weaken, then stop. Hyunwoo releases him and stands up. All 8 Iron Fists are unconscious. The corridor is silent except for his breathing. He walks to the keypad, types in the 7-digit code. The vault door hisses and swings open. Inside is a small room lined with lead, a single pedestal in the center. On the pedestal rests a black stone the size of Hyunwoo's fist. It pulses with a deep purple light. The gravity stone. Hyunwoo steps toward it. The air feels thick like he's walking through honey. The stone's aura presses against his chest. He reaches out and closes his hand around it. The moment his skin touches the stone, his whole body locks up. Power floods into him. Raw, unfiltered gravity energy pouring through his nervous system. His vision whites out. He hears a sound like a mountain cracking open. His knees buckle, but he doesn't fall. He grips the stone and forces himself to stay upright. The energy keeps coming. His gravity sense expands. He can feel every object in the mansion above him. Every person. Every heartbeat. He can feel the foundation of the house. The pipes in the walls. The roots of the trees in the garden. He can feel the rotation of the earth. It's too much. He wrestles the flood back down. He clamps his mind around the stone's power and forces it into submission. The purple glow dims. The pressure eases. Hyunwoo opens his eyes. He's on his knees. The stone is still in his hand. Warm now. It's bonded to him. Kang's voice crackles in his ear. He asks if Hyunwoo is alive. Our boy stands up. His body hums with power he's never felt before. He says he's got it. Kang says the guards are returning to their posts. The explosion distraction is over. Hyunwoo needs to move now. He pockets the stone and exits the vault. The Iron Fists are still out cold. He runs back down the corridor, up the maintenance stairs, through the kitchen. He bursts out the servants' entrance into the garden. An alarm is shrieking now. Someone must have found the unconscious guards. Floodlights sweep the lawn. Hyunwoo doesn't bother being quiet anymore. He sprints at full speed toward the east wall. A guard spots him and raises a rifle. Hyunwoo flicks his wrist. The rifle twists out of the guard's hands and flies 30 feet into the koi pond. He leaps and lightens his body. He sails over the wall, clears the razor wire, and lands hard on the street outside. He doesn't stop running until he's 10 blocks away. In an alley behind a laundromat, he leans against the wall and catches his breath. The stone is heavy in his pocket, warm and alive. Kang's voice comes through the earpiece. He says, "Hyunwoo did it." Our boy looks up at the night sky. The stars are still bright. The city still hums. But something has shifted. He can feel Gu's mansion behind him, the security scrambling, the panic spreading. Gu is going to find out his stone is gone, and when he does, he'll know exactly who took it. Hyunwoo pushes off the wall and starts walking toward the safe house. His body aches. His knuckles are bruised inside the weighted gloves, but he's holding the one thing Gu built his empire on. The gravity stone is no longer Gu's weapon. Now it belongs to the last surviving son of the Seo family, and tomorrow, the real training begins. 2 days, 48 hours. Hyunwoo doesn't leave the temple training ground. Kang clears the main hall and seals the doors. The stone sits on a wooden pedestal in the center of the room. Its purple glow pulses like a slow heartbeat. Hyunwoo stands 10 feet away and just looks at it. The thing hums in his chest even from that distance. He can feel it like a second pulse under his ribs. Kang says bonded artifacts don't come with a manual. Hyun-woo has to learn the stone's language. He says it's not a weapon you aim, it's a limb you learn to flex. Our boy cracks his knuckles and steps forward. First exercise. Hyun-woo extends his hand toward the stone without touching it. He reaches out with his gravity sense the way Kang taught him. The stone responds immediately. A pressure wave rolls out and shoves him backward 3 feet. His boots skid on the wooden floor. Kang tells him to try again. He approaches slower this time. He lets the stone's energy wash over him instead of resisting it. The pressure is immense, but it doesn't knock him back. It's like standing waist-deep in an ocean current. The power wants to move him. He plants his feet and holds. Kang nods. He says the stone tested him in the vault. Now it's testing whether he's worth teaching. Hyun-woo stays there for 6 hours, standing in the stone's pressure field, learning its rhythm. His legs tremble. Sweat drips off his chin. His weighted gloves feel like anchors on his hands, but he doesn't move. The stone's pulse gradually slows. Its hostility dims. By hour 4, it almost feels welcoming. Kang tosses him a water bottle. He says the stone has accepted Hyun-woo as its wielder. That's step 1. Step 2 is harder. Hyun-woo has to channel the stone's power without letting it overwhelm him. He picks up the stone. The warmth spreads up his arm immediately. His gravity sense snaps outward like a rubber band released. He feels the temple's foundations, the cracks in the stone walls, the ants crawling in the garden 20 meters away. He feels Kang's heartbeat, slow and steady. 58 beats per minute. He feels the old man's breathing. The sensation is dizzying, too much information flooding his brain at once. He grits his teeth and tries to filter it. Kang's voice cuts through. He says to narrow the focus. Pick one object, one target. Block everything else out. Hyun-woo picks a ceramic bowl on the far side of the hall. He pours his attention into it and ignores everything else. The rest of the world fades. He can feel the bowl's weight, its mass, the tiny imperfections in its glaze. He lifts his free hand. The bowl rises off the floor, smooth and steady. No wobble, no flicker. He floats it across the room and sets it down gently on a different table. Kang says that's progress. The old man's eyes are sharp. He says the stone amplifies Hyun-woo's range and precision, but control costs more focus. Before the stone, Hyun-woo could crush or shove. Now he can thread a needle with gravity, if his mind doesn't break first. They train for 12 more hours. Hyun-woo lifts objects of increasing weight. A chair, a training dummy, a granite block. Each one requires less effort than before. The stone feeds him power in a steady stream. Not a flood anymore, a river he can direct. But the fatigue builds differently too. It's not muscle burn, it's a deep ache behind his eyes, a pressure in his temples. Kang warns him to stop before the headache becomes a migraine. He says mental exhaustion is more dangerous than physical. Hyun-woo pushes anyway. He lifts 2 granite blocks simultaneously. His nose drips blood onto the floor. Kang doesn't tell him to stop again. He just watches. The old man's expression is unreadable. Hour 18. Hyun-woo collapses onto a mat. The stone is still in his hand, still warm, still humming. He stares at the ceiling and breathes. His head pounds. His vision blurs at the edges. But he's grinning. Kang sits down next to him. He says Hyun-woo's limit right now is about 20 minutes of sustained channeling. After that, the mental strain becomes dangerous. Blackouts, seizures, permanent brain damage if he really pushes it. Hyun-woo asks how long until he can handle more. Kang says weeks, months, years. The stone is ancient, and Hyun-woo is 23. He says patience is a weapon too. Hyun-woo laughs. It's a hollow sound. He hasn't been patient since he was 14 years old. Day 2. Kang changes the training. No more lifting. No more floating bowls. Now it's combat application. He sets up training dummies in a circle around Hyun-woo. 8 of them. Each one weighted differently. He says a real fight doesn't give you time to focus. Enemies move. They attack. You channel the stone or you die. Hyun-woo grips the stone in his left hand. Kang tells him to keep it in his pocket. It stays bonded through fabric. The first dummy swings a padded arm at his head. He ducks and increases gravity on its base. It topples. The second dummy attacks from behind. He feels it coming. His expanded sense tracks every movement in the room. He spins and releases a low-power gravity wave. The dummy slides backward but stays upright. Not enough force. Kang says the stone's power is massive, but Hyun-woo is still the bottleneck. His mind can only channel so much at once. He has to learn efficiency, minimum force, maximum effect. Gravity isn't a hammer, it's a scalpel. Hyun-woo tries again. The dummy charges. He doesn't shove it. He targets its knee joint and applies a quick gravity spike. The joint snaps. The dummy's leg buckles. It crashes to the floor in a heap of padding and metal. Kang almost smiles. He says that's what he's talking about. They run combat drills for 10 hours. Hyun-woo learns to pulse gravity in short bursts instead of sustained pressure. He learns to target weak points, joints, balance centers, the weapons in an enemy's hands. He learns to use the stone's expanded sense to track multiple opponents blindfolded. By hour 8, he can fight 4 dummies at once. His body moves on instinct. The stone feeds him spatial information. He doesn't think, he just reacts. Kang finally calls a break. Hyunwoo's shirt is soaked. His arms are covered in bruises from the dummy's padded arms, but his control is sharper than it's ever been. The stone feels like an extension of his will now, not a separate weapon. He sits against the wall and drinks water. Kang brings him food, rice, and fish. Simple, but hot. Kang says there's one more thing Hyunwoo needs to learn before they're done. He says the stone has a hidden function. Hyunwoo looks up. His chopsticks pause halfway to his mouth. Kang explains. The gravity stone doesn't just amplify power. It can nullify other gravity artifacts within a certain range. Gu's amulet works by generating a counterfield. The stone can collapse that field, cancel it out completely, but it requires a specific technique. Hyunwoo has to match the amulet's frequency and invert his own gravity wave. Kang says it's like singing a harmony. If Hyunwoo gets it right, the amulet becomes useless. If he gets it wrong, the feedback could kill him. Hyunwoo asks how he practices that without an amulet. Kang pulls something out of his pocket. It's a small metal disc, about the size of a coin. It hums faintly. Kang says it's a training amplifier. It mimics the amulet's counterfield signature, weak enough to be safe, strong enough to learn on. Hyunwoo sets down his bowl and stands up. He's exhausted, but he doesn't care. This is the key. Kang activates the disc. A faint shimmer appears in the air between them. Hyunwoo feels his gravity sense push against it. The counterfield is like static. It scrambles his perception. He can't feel anything inside its radius. He reaches for the stone and tries to project force through the field. Nothing happens. The gravity wave dissipates. Kang says he's pushing too hard. He has to feel the field's rhythm first. Match it. Then invert. Hyunwoo closes his eyes. He extends his gravity sense into the field. The static burns. His headache spikes immediately. But he presses deeper. He listens. The field has a pulse, a frequency, a pattern. It's not random. He finds the rhythm. He lets his own power sync with it. The static quiets. The field becomes legible. Then he inverts. He pushes his gravity wave through the field's weak points instead of against its strong ones. The shimmer collapses. The disc in Kang's hand sparks and goes dark. Kang looks at it, then at Hyunwoo. He says it took him 2 weeks to learn that technique. Hyunwoo did it in 40 minutes. Our boy doesn't answer. He's already on his knees. Blood pours from his nose. His ears ring like someone fired a gun next to his head. Kang catches him before he hits the floor. He says that's enough for today. Hyunwoo tries to argue, but his mouth won't form words. Kang drags him to the sleeping mat and drops him onto it. He says, the stone will still be there tomorrow. Gu won't. Hyunwoo's eyes close before Kang finishes speaking. His body shuts down. 12 hours of dreamless sleep hit him like a gravity wave. He wakes to the sound of a phone ringing. Not his burner, Kang's phone. The old man answers it, and his face goes hard. Hyunwoo sits up. His head is clear. His body feels strong. The stone is warm in his pocket. Kang ends the call and looks at him. He says Ji-yu went to meet her source inside Gu's household staff. The source was supposed to deliver a copy of Gu's bunker schematics. Ji-yu never came back. Hyunwoo is on his feet. He asks how long ago. Kang says 3 hours. Her phone is off. Her last known location was a cafe near the Han River. Kang's contact in the police department sent a traffic camera image. A black van, no plates. It picked her up 2 blocks from the cafe. Hyunwoo's jaw tightens. He says Gu has her. Kang says that's the obvious conclusion. The old man pulls up a map on his phone. He says there's an abandoned textile factory in the Guro district. Gu's shell companies owned it until 3 years ago. It's been empty since. But satellite heat signatures show activity in the last 48 hours. Hyunwoo grabs his coat. He says he's going. Kang doesn't try to stop him. He just hands him a new earpiece. He says the factory is a trap. Gu wants Hyunwoo to come. He's using Ji-yu as bait. Hyunwoo says he knows. He's still going. Kang nods like he expected that answer. He says Hyunwoo has trained his whole life for this. The stone gives him an edge. But Gu will have countermeasures. The order will have sent someone, not just hired guards, an enforcer, someone who can match Hyunwoo's power. Hyunwoo straps his tactical knife to his thigh. He pulls on his weighted gloves. The leather is worn now, comfortable. He says he doesn't care who they sent. They took someone under his protection. They're going to regret it. Kang hands him a small earpiece and a comm unit. He says he'll guide Hyunwoo remotely. The factory's layout is in his database. Hyunwoo pockets the stone. He can feel it pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. Ready. He walks out of the temple and into the gray morning light. A motorcycle Kang arranged is parked by the gate. Hyunwoo swings onto it and kicks the engine. The vibration rattles through his bones. He twists the throttle. The bike screams down the mountain road toward the city. Wind tears at his coat. His eyes are fixed on the horizon. He doesn't think about the fatigue, the bruises, the blood that dripped from his nose 12 hours ago. He thinks about Ji-Yu, the reporter who risked everything to hand him Gu's schedule, who sat in his safe house and refused to flinch. She trusted him to protect her. Gu took her to send a message. Hyunwoo is going to send one back. The city sprawls beneath him as he descends from the temple. Traffic thickens. He weaves between cars with zero patience. He lightens the bike with a gravity shift and jumps a concrete divider. A taxi honks. He's already gone. Kang's voice crackles in his ear. He says the factory is a 4-story concrete block. Windows bricked over. One main entrance. The heat signatures are concentrated on the 3rd floor. 8 to 10 hostels. One stationary heat source in the center of the room. Smaller than the others. Not moving. Kang says it's probably Ji-Yu. She's alive, but they've got her restrained. The factory is in the industrial wasteland of Guro. Abandoned warehouses and rusting machinery stretch in every direction. Hyunwoo parks the bike 3 blocks away and approaches on foot. The factory looms ahead, gray and featureless. A chain-link fence surrounds the property, rusted but intact. A single guard stands at the main gate. Hyunwoo doesn't slow down. He extends his gravity sense. The stone amplifies it like a lens focusing sunlight. He feels the guard's body, his heartbeat, the weight of the rifle in his hands, the loose change in his pocket. He targets the guard's knees and applies a gravity spike. Both joints buckle simultaneously. The guard drops without making a sound. Hyunwoo catches the rifle with a gravity pull before it hits the ground. He floats it into a dumpster and keeps walking. The factory's main entrance is a steel door. Rusted but solid. Hyunwoo doesn't have time for stealth anymore. He raises both hands. The stone hums against his chest. He channels a gravity wave and punches it forward. The steel door rips off its hinges and flies into the building like a playing card caught in a hurricane. Dust explodes outward. An alarm starts shrieking. Hyunwoo steps through the doorway into the dark. The 1st floor is a maze of abandoned machinery. Conveyor belts rusted in place. Huge textile looms frozen mid-weave. Shapes move in the darkness between them. 5 guards. Maybe 6. Their heartbeats hammer in Hyunwoo's awareness. He doesn't wait for them to shoot. He throws a gravity sphere into the center of the room and releases it. The wave rolls outward in a perfect circle. It lifts the guards off their feet and slams them into the machinery. Metal groans. Bodies crumple. The alarm still screams. Hyunwoo walks past the groaning guards toward the stairs. Kang's voice says the 3rd floor is the target. Hostiles are converging on the stairwell. They know he's coming. Hyunwoo says good. He starts climbing. The stairs are concrete, narrow, a perfect choke point. 2 guards appear on the landing above him. They fire rifles down the stairwell. Hyunwoo raises a gravity barrier. The bullets slow to a crawl in midair and drop harmlessly onto the steps. The guards stare. Hyunwoo flicks his wrist. Their rifles twist out of their hands and slam into the ceiling. He increases gravity on their shoulders. They collapse onto the landing. Their faces press into the concrete. They can't even lift their heads. Hyunwoo steps over them and keeps climbing. 3rd floor. The door is steel. Painted yellow, rust flaking around the edges. He kicks it open. The room beyond is huge. An open factory floor with broken windows bricked over. Light filters through cracks in the masonry. In the center of the room, Ji-Yu is tied to a metal chair. Her face is bruised. A strip of tape covers her mouth, but her eyes are open, and they snap to Hyunwoo the second he enters. Standing behind her is a man Hyunwoo has never seen before. Tall, lean, wearing a black suit with no tie. His hands are bare, no weapons visible, but his key signature hits Hyunwoo's gravity sense like a blast furnace. Kang's voice goes sharp. He says the order has sent an enforcer, a real one, not hired muscle. He tells Hyunwoo to be careful. This guy's key density is off the charts. He's been augmented, probably multiple times. The enforcer smiles. He says he's been waiting. He says Gu wanted to be here in person, but something came up. He gestures at Ji-Yu. He says the reporter is a liability. Gu doesn't like loose ends, but she's served her purpose now. He says Hyunwoo walked right into the trap, just like Gu said he would. The stupid loyal type. Hyunwoo doesn't answer. He's already reaching for the stone. His gravity sense maps the room in perfect detail. The enforcer's heartbeat is slow, 40 beats per minute. Calm. Controlled. The man is completely unafraid. He raises one hand. Black key flares around his fingers. It's dense, almost solid. The air around him warps like heat rising off asphalt. He says his name is Ju Won Shik. He says he's killed 3 awakened before. Hyunwoo will be the 4th. He lunges. He's fast. Faster than anyone Hyunwoo has ever fought. His ki-enhanced fist crosses the room in a blur. Hyunwoo throws a gravity wave at him. Ju cuts through it. His ki shears the gravitational force like a blade through water. He's on Hyunwoo before the wave even dissipates. His fist connects with Hyunwoo's ribs. The impact feels like getting hit by a truck. Hyunwoo flies backward and crashes through a rusted workbench. Ji-yu screams behind her gag. Hyunwoo rolls onto his side. His ribs aren't broken, but they're close. The stone's warmth pulses in his pocket. Ju doesn't give him time to recover. He closes the distance. His black ki forms a blade around his right hand. He swings it downward. Hyunwoo rolls, and the ki blade carves a trench in the concrete floor. Sparks fly. Hyunwoo gets his feet under him. He pulses gravity downward on Ju's shoulders. The enforcer staggers but doesn't fall. His ki flares brighter. He says gravity manipulation is a cheap trick. He's fought worse. He's killed worse. He swings the ki blade again. Hyunwoo ducks and closes the distance. He fires a gravity-assisted uppercut into Ju's chin. The impact lifts Ju off his feet. His ki flickers. Hyunwoo follows with a gravity spike to the man's chest. Ju crashes into a support pillar. Concrete cracks. Dust rains from the ceiling. But the enforcer is already pushing himself upright. He's grinning. Blood on his teeth. He says, "That almost hurt." He drops into a fighting stance, and his ki surges. The black aura around him intensifies. It spreads across the floor like oil. Hyunwoo feels his gravity sense start to scramble. The ki is dense enough to interfere with his perception. Ju says the order trained him specifically to kill awakened. He says he knows every weakness, every limit. He says Hyunwoo's gravity can't touch him at full power. He lunges again, faster this time. Hyunwoo tries to dodge, but Ju's ki blade extends mid-swing. It slices across Hyunwoo's shoulder. Blood sprays. The cut is deep, but it misses the artery. Barely. Hyunwoo stumbles backward. His left arm goes numb. The stone is still in his pocket, but he can't channel it effectively with his focus shattered. Ju circles him. He says this is the part where Hyunwoo realizes he's outmatched. Then he begs. Then he dies. Hyunwoo's breathing is ragged. Blood soaks his sleeve. Ji-yu is struggling against her restraints. Her eyes are wet. He looks at her. Then at Ju. Then he reaches into his pocket and pulls out the stone. Its purple light fills the room. Ju's grin falters. He says, "That's impossible. The stone shouldn't be bondable. No one has ever." Hyunwoo doesn't let him finish. He channels the stone's power and releases it in a focused beam directly at Ju's chest. The gravity beam hits like a falling skyscraper. Ju's ki barrier flares white-hot and shatters. He's launched backward through 2 walls. Brick and concrete crumble. Dust chokes the air. Hyunwoo drops to one knee. His head is screaming. Blood pours from his nose. But he forces himself up. He walks toward the hole Ju's body made. He's not done. The enforcer is crumpled in the rubble. His suit is shredded. One arm is bent at a wrong angle, but he's still breathing. He laughs. It's a wet sound. Blood bubbles on his lips. He says Hyunwoo doesn't understand what he's just done. He says the stone was supposed to be retrieved intact. The order wanted it. Gu was just their delivery boy. He says now the order will send more than enforcers. They'll send the inner circle. Hyunwoo is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Hyunwoo looks down at him. The stone's light pulses in his hand. His voice is calm. He says, "Let them come." Then he increases gravity on Ju's chest until the man's heart stops. No warning. No final words. Just silence. The black ki fades. The room is quiet. Hyunwoo turns and walks toward Ji-yu. His legs are shaking. His vision is tunneling. He rips the tape off her mouth. She gasps. Her voice is raw. She says she knew he would come. He cuts her restraints with his tactical knife. She stumbles when she stands, and he catches her with his good arm. Kang's voice is in his ear. He says multiple vehicles are approaching. Gu's reinforcements. They need to leave, now. Hyunwoo pulls Ji-yu toward the stairwell. She's limping. Her ankle is swollen. He lightens her body with a gravity shift and half carries her down the stairs. They burst out of the factory into the gray afternoon light. The motorcycle is where he left it, 3 blocks away. They run. Ji-yu's breath is ragged in his ear. The stone's power is ebbing. His body is crashing. Behind them, the sound of vehicles grows louder. Shouts echo through the industrial wasteland. The hunt is on. They reach the motorcycle. Hyunwoo helps Ji-yu onto the back seat. She wraps her arms around his waist. Her grip is weak but determined. He kicks the engine. It roars. He twists the throttle, and the bike screams away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, he sees black SUVs turn onto the street behind them. 4 of them, moving fast. Hyunwoo accelerates. He weaves through the abandoned warehouses. His shoulder burns. His head pounds. Blood drips down his arm onto the handlebars. Ji-yu presses her face against his back. She says she's sorry. She walked into their trap. She should have been more careful. Hyunwoo doesn't answer. He's focused on the road. The SUVs are gaining. One of them opens a window. A rifle barrel appears. Hyunwoo throws a gravity barrier behind them. The bullets slow and drop, but the effort nearly makes him black out. Kang's voice says there's a tunnel half a kilometer ahead, an old maintenance passage. Too narrow for the SUVs. Hyunwoo sees it. A dark mouth cut into the side of a hill. He guns the engine. The bike rockets forward. The SUVs are 50 meters behind. 30. 20. Hyunwoo steers into the tunnel entrance. Darkness swallows them. The tunnel is barely wide enough for the motorcycle. The walls scrape his elbows. Behind them, the SUVs screech to a halt. Men shout, but no one follows. The tunnel is too narrow for pursuit. Hyunwoo keeps driving until the tunnel spits them out on the other side of the hill. A quiet residential street. No black SUVs. No gunfire. He pulls the bike into an alley and kills the engine. His body gives out. He slumps forward over the handlebars. Ji-yu catches him before he falls. She says his name. Her voice is scared. He doesn't answer. His eyes are closed, but his pulse is steady. The stone is warm in his pocket, alive, waiting. The real training is over. The real war is just beginning. The bike's engine ticks, cooling in the alley. Ji-yu's hands are shaking as she eases Hyunwoo off the handlebars. His weight slumps against her shoulder, and she nearly buckles. Blood from his nose drips onto her jacket, but she doesn't let go. She drags him off the bike and props him against a brick wall. His face is pale, and his breathing is shallow, but the stone in his pocket is still pulsing. She slaps his cheek twice, calling his name, telling him to wake up. Nothing. She checks his pulse at the neck, finds it steady, and exhales hard. Her ankle screams every time she puts weight on it. She ignores it. The alley smells of garbage and wet cardboard, but it's quiet, and no one followed them through the tunnel. She pulls out her phone and dials Kang. 3 rings and he picks up, voice clipped, asking if they got out. Ji-yu tells him Hyunwoo's unconscious, and she doesn't know how bad the damage is. Kang says to bring him to the temple immediately, and to avoid main roads. He tells her there's a safe house 6 blocks east, a pharmacy with a green awning, and the owner owes him. She should take Hyunwoo there first and stabilize him before moving. She hangs up and looks at the motorcycle. She's never driven one before. Guess what happens next? She swings her leg over the seat, props Hyunwoo behind her, and wraps his arms around her waist. She ties his wrists together with a strip of fabric torn from her shirt. It's ugly, but it holds. The engine roars and she wobbles out of the alley like a drunk on 2 wheels. The sun is setting and the residential streets are empty. She takes back roads and keeps the speed low, flinching every time a car passes. Hyunwoo's head lolls against her shoulder, and his blood soaks through her sleeve. She talks to him the whole way, telling him to stay with her, telling him he's too stubborn to die in an alley. The green awning appears 20 minutes later, and she nearly crashes into a lamppost, stopping. The pharmacy owner is an old woman with steel gray hair and no questions. She sees the blood and opens the back room without a word. Ji-yu half carries Hyunwoo inside and lowers him onto a cot. The old woman checks his vitals, cleans the cuts on his head, and wraps his shoulder wound tight. She says he's burned out, not bleeding out, and he needs rest more than stitches. Ji-yu sits on a wooden crate beside the cot and doesn't move for 3 hours. Her phone buzzes twice, updates to Kang, and then she just watches Hyunwoo breathe. The stone in his pocket glows faintly in the dark, a slow, purple heartbeat. Sometime after midnight, his eyes open. He stares at the ceiling for a long moment, and then asks if she drove the bike. Ji-yu laughs, a raw sound that's half relief and half hysteria, and says she did. He tells her she's terrible at it. She says she knows. He sits up slowly and his face twists with pain, but he doesn't make a sound. The old woman brings water and a bowl of rice porridge, and Hyunwoo eats like a man who forgot food existed. Ji-yu watches him and her expression shifts from relief to something heavier. She says she has something to tell him. He keeps eating, waiting. She says her source inside Goo's household is dead. Hyunwoo stops chewing. Ji-yu's voice is flat as she lays it out. The source was a maid named Eunji who'd been feeding her information for 8 months. She was the one who got Ji-yu the mansion blueprints and the vault code. 2 days ago, she missed a check-in, and Ji-yu knew something was wrong. Yesterday, Goo's security chief Cha Min-suk sent Ji-yu a photo. Eunji's body dumped in a drainage canal with a note pinned to her chest. The note said, "Your turn." Ji-yu walked into the cafe trap anyway because she was trying to confirm whether the bunker schematics existed. She knew it was a setup and she went anyway. Hyunwoo sets the bowl down and his jaw is tight. He asks if she has any other sources. She shakes her head and says Eunji was the last one, and Goo's cleaning house. Hyunwoo is quiet for a long moment, and then he says her death isn't Ji-yu's fault. Ji-yu doesn't answer, and her eyes are wet, but she doesn't cry. The stone pulses once in his pocket, and he feels the weight of it. He's killed an order enforcer, and Gu's retaliation has already started. He asks Kang over the earpiece if he's still there. Kang's voice is steady, and he says he heard everything. He tells Hyunwoo to come back to the temple, and that there are things he needs to know before the next move. The old woman gives them a van, a rusted delivery truck with a false bottom in the cargo hold. Ji-yu drives this time, and Hyunwoo lies flat in the hidden compartment. The stone glows against his chest, and he stares at the metal ceiling inches from his face. His mind is racing, cataloging everything he knows, everything he doesn't. Gu has the amulet and the backing of the order, and now he's purging every loose end. Eunji is dead, and the banquet is in 2 days. And the magnetic pulse generator still isn't in Ji-yu's hands. But the stone is bonded to him, and he killed the enforcer, and right now, that's enough. The van reaches the temple 2 hours before dawn. Kang meets them at the gate, and his face is unreadable as he helps Hyunwoo out of the cargo hold. The temple courtyard is cold and dark, and the only sound is the wind through the pines. Kang leads them inside and seals the main doors behind them. Incense burns in a bronze bowl, and the smoke curls toward the rafters. Kang gestures for them to sit, and Ji-yu lowers herself onto a cushion, her swollen ankle stretched in front of her. Hyunwoo stays standing, his arms crossed, and he asks Kang to talk. Kang doesn't sit either. He looks at Hyunwoo for a long moment, and then he says something that changes everything. He says he was one of them, the Order. Hyunwoo's body goes still, and the stone's light flares in his pocket. Ji-yu's hand moves toward the knife at her belt. Kang doesn't flinch, and he says he'll explain, and Hyunwoo can kill him after if he wants. He says 23 years ago, he was a scientist working for the Order's research division. Specialty was gravity manipulation theory and the development of bonded artifacts. The stone Hyunwoo now carries was one of 3 primary fragments the Order discovered in a meteor impact site in northern Mongolia. Kang was part of the team that studied it, cataloged it, and then weaponized it. He says the Order isn't just a criminal syndicate, and it's not a mafia family. And it's not something you dismantle by killing a few rich men. It's a theological organization with roots going back 6 centuries. They believe gravity is the fundamental divine force, and that whoever masters it, masters creation itself. The inner circle is composed of 7 individuals who have each bonded to a fragment, like Hyunwoo's stone. Gu Myung-soo is not one of them. Gu is a supplier, a middleman, useful for laundering money and moving artifacts through legitimate shipping channels. His amulet is a knockoff, a synthetic fragment that mimics the real thing with about 10% efficiency. The Order let him have it because he was useful and expendable. Hyunwoo's father was a threat to the Order's operations in Seoul, and so they ordered Gu to eliminate him. Kang says he didn't know about the massacre until after it happened. He was already a defector by then, already hiding in this temple, already marked for execution by the inner circle. The only reason he's still alive is that the Order doesn't know where he is. He's been training Hyunwoo for 5 years, knowing exactly what Hyunwoo would become. And he did it anyway. Hyunwoo's voice is ice, as he asks if Kang knew the whole time who killed his family. Kang says yes. He says he knew, and he didn't tell Hyunwoo because he needed Hyunwoo to be driven by pure rage, not by strategy. A cold-blooded killer would have walked into the Order's trap and died. A man burning with revenge would survive long enough to become something the Order couldn't predict. Hyunwoo's gravity flares, and the incense bowl cracks down the middle. Ji-yu flinches, and Kang just watches him with those unreadable eyes. Hyunwoo asks why Kang defected. Kang says it was because of a child, a test subject the Order was experimenting on, trying to bond a stone fragment to a living human. The child died screaming, and Kang couldn't justify it anymore. He walked out, and he's been hiding ever since. The room is silent, and the cracked incense bowl leaks ash onto the floor. Hyunwoo looks at Kang and he sees the same thing he's always seen, a man who is waiting to die. He unclenches his fists, and the gravity pressure in the room eases. He tells Kang he won't kill him, but that Kang owes him the rest of the truth. No more secrets, and no more omissions, and no more choosing what Hyunwoo is ready to hear. Kang bows his head and says, agreed. Ji-yu exhales and her hand moves away from the knife. She asks if Kang knows where the bunker is. Kang says he doesn't, but he knows how to find it. He explains the Order uses a specific architectural pattern in all their facilities. A circular central chamber with 7 radial corridors. The pattern is a ritual design, a mandala, a map of the 7 inner circle members. Gu's bunker would follow the same template because Gu built it with Order resources. Ji-yu pulls out her tablet and starts pulling up city records, building permits, abandoned municipal projects. She cross-references every circular structure in Seoul with Gu's known shell companies. Kang watches her work, and something like respect flickers across his face. He says she's better at this than he expected. Ji-yu doesn't look up and says she's been hunting Gu for 3 years, and she's not going to stop now. Hyunwoo leans against the wall and watches the sunrise through the temple's high windows. His body is still wrecked, and his shoulder throbs, and his head feels like someone drove a nail through it. But the stone is warm against his chest, and Kang has finally told the truth, and Ji-yu is still fighting. He thinks about Yoonji's body in a drainage canal, and the Enforcer's last words about the inner circle. The Order thinks he's already dead, and that's a mistake they're going to regret. Ji-yu's tablet pings 3 hours later. She's found it. An abandoned subway station under Yongsan District, decommissioned in 1997, listed as a flood control reservoir in city records. The circular chamber is exactly where Kang predicted, and the radial corridors match the Order's mandala pattern. The site was purchased by a shell company Gu's nephew owns, and construction permits were filed under a fake disaster preparedness grant. It's been active for at least 8 years. Hyunwoo looks at the screen and sees the schematic. 17 meters underground and blast doors on every entrance, and enough reinforced concrete to survive a direct hit. He asks if there's a way in. Ji-yu says there's a maintenance tunnel that connects to the sewer system, and it's not on any official map. Eunji found it before she died, and she buried the access point location in a dead drop Ji-yu only retrieved this morning. She pulls up coordinates and lays them over the bunker schematic. A narrow passage running from a storm drain in Mapo-gu, feeding directly into the bunker's eastern corridor. It's tight, and it's half-flooded, and the oxygen levels are probably garbage, but it's not guarded. Hyunwoo memorizes the route in 30 seconds. He tells Ji-yu to get the magnetic pulse generator and meet him at the storm drain access point in 12 hours. Ji-yu says she can be ready in 8. Kang tells Hyunwoo to rest first, and that if he goes into the bunker in this condition, he won't come out. Hyunwoo wants to argue, but his body doesn't give him the choice. He sits down on a cushion, and his eyes close, and within seconds, he's unconscious. Ji-yu covers him with a blanket and looks at Kang. She asks if Kang thinks he can really do this. Kang says Hyunwoo is the first person in 2 decades who's bonded successfully with a primary fragment. The Order doesn't know what they've created, and by the time they figure it out, it'll be too late. He says Hyunwoo doesn't just want revenge. He wants to burn the whole thing down, and he's finally strong enough to try. Ji-yu leaves at noon, and Kang stays behind, watching Hyunwoo sleep. The temple is quiet, and the cracked incense bowl sits on the floor, and Kang thinks about the child who died screaming. He thinks about the 7 members of the inner circle, and the 6 centuries of blood behind them. Then he looks at the unconscious man on the cushion with the glowing stone in his hand, and allows himself something he hasn't felt in years. Hope. Hyunwoo wakes at sundown and his body still hurts, but the edge is gone. The stone pulses once, steady, waiting. He stands up and stretches, and the joints crack all the way down his spine. He eats the food Kang left for him and drinks a full pot of tea, and then he straps the tactical knife to his thigh and pulls on the weighted glove. The leather is warm from the temple's braziers, and the steel shot presses against his knuckles. He grabs his earpiece and comm unit and heads for the gate. His motorcycle is gone, abandoned near the factory. So Kang hands him keys to a black sedan with stolen plates and a full tank. Hyunwoo gets in and starts the engine. The temple recedes in the rearview mirror, and the city opens up ahead, streetlights flickering on across Seoul. The storm drain access point is in Mapo-gu, 40 minutes away. Ji-yu is waiting with the pulse generator, and somewhere 17 meters below the streets of Yongsan, Gu Myung-soo is sitting in his bunker, thinking he's safe. Big mistake. Hyunwoo presses the accelerator, and the sedan merges onto the highway. The stone pulses against his heart, and the gravity around the car bends just slightly, a shimmer in the evening air. The real hunt is about to begin. The Order, the inner circle, the 6 centuries of blood, none of it matters tonight. Tonight, there's only one target. One man in a bunker with a borrowed amulet and a lifetime of sins catching up to him. Gu Myung-soo has no idea what's coming, but he's about to find out. The sedans appear on the approach road 20 minutes after sunset. 3 vehicles, dark gray, moving in perfect formation through the temple's outer markers. Kang spots them from the bell tower, and his heart drops into his stomach. He's seen that formation before, 23 years ago, the night he ran. Order kill teams never travel alone, and they never leave survivors. Hyunwoo is still in the main hall, strapping on his weighted gloves when Kang bursts through the door. His face says everything before his mouth opens. They found us. Hyunwoo doesn't ask how, and he doesn't ask who. He just pulls the tactical knife from his thigh sheath and tells Kang to get Ji-yu to the underground storage room. Kang hesitates for half a second, and Hyunwoo's eyes cut through him. The old man nods and disappears down the rear corridor. Hyunwoo stands alone in the main hall with the gravity stone warm against his chest and the incense bowl still cracked on the floor. The temple's front gate explodes inward. 3 figures step through the dust, silhouettes backlit by the sedan's headlights. The first one is a woman with a shaved head and a metal collar around her throat that pulses with the same purple light as the stone. The second is a man built like a refrigerator, both arms wrapped in key reactive filaments from knuckle to shoulder. The third hangs back, smaller, hooded, watching through goggles that click and whir as they adjust. The woman speaks first, her voice flat and bored. She says the fragment has been located and the wielder is to be terminated. She says it like she's reading a grocery list. Hyunwoo doesn't answer with words. He slams 10 times gravity onto all three of them at once. The big man's knees buckle, and the woman staggers, but the hooded figure doesn't move an inch. The goggles click again, and Hyunwoo feels something push back against his power, a counter-frequency rolling off the small one in waves. These aren't iron fists with cheap knockoff armor. These are real hunters. The big man is the first to recover. He plants his feet, and the filaments on his arms ignite white hot. And then he's charging straight through the gravity field, like a bull through a fence. Hyunwoo releases the pressure on the other two and focuses everything on the big man's center of mass. 15 times gravity hits him square in the chest. The floorboards under his feet crack and splinter. But the guy keeps coming. His fist swings, and Hyunwoo barely slips under it, the wind of the punch ruffling his hair. The big man's follow-up backhand catches Hyunwoo across the ribs and sends him skidding across the hall. The stone surges, and Hyunwoo uses the pain to sharpen his focus. He rolls to his feet, and the big man is already there, both fists raised, filaments screaming white. Hyunwoo doesn't try to stop him this time. He drops the gravity field entirely and lets the big man's momentum carry him forward. Then he steps inside the guard and drives the tactical knife into the gap between the filaments at the armpit. The blade sinks to the hilt. The big man roars, and the filaments flare so bright Hyunwoo has to squint. But he was already wrong-footed, and the knife did its work. Hyunwoo twists the blade and yanks it free, and the big man collapses, blood pooling under him, filaments fading to dull gray. One down. The woman with the metal collar doesn't give him time to breathe. She's already crossing the hall with a sword in each hand, curved blades that hum with an edge Hyunwoo doesn't want to test. Her collar pulses faster, and Hyunwoo feels the gravity around her distorting. She's using a fragment of her own, smaller than his, less refined, but enough to cancel out his advantage. Hyunwoo backs toward the pedestal where the stone sat 2 days ago and buys himself 3 seconds. She follows, swords spinning in tight arcs, her face completely blank. This one isn't angry, and she isn't enjoying herself. She's just working a job. Hyunwoo grabs the wooden pedestal and hurls it at her face. She slices it in half without breaking stride, but the distraction gives him the opening he needs. He drops to one knee and punches both fists into the floor, and releases a gravity sphere directly into the temple's foundation. The entire hall lurches sideways. Stone dust rains from the ceiling, and the floor ripples like water, and the woman with the swords stumbles for the first time. Hyunwoo is already moving. He lunges forward, not at her, but past her. The hooded figure is still standing in the doorway, and those goggles are still clicking. And Hyunwoo has figured out what they're doing. The small one is feeding data to the others, targeting coordinates, power fluctuations, weak points in his stance. The order didn't send 3 assassins. They sent 2 fighters and a spotter. The spotter has to go. Hyunwoo vaults over the cracked incense bowl and closes the distance in 4 strides. The hooded figure raises one hand, and a pulse of counter-gravity slams into his chest. It's strong enough to stop a normal man cold. Hyunwoo isn't a normal man anymore. The stone answers before his brain even registers the hit. His own gravity field inverts and swallows the counterpulse, and Hyunwoo doesn't even slow down. The hooded figure's goggles click faster, confused, recalibrating. Too late. Hyunwoo drives his knee into the figure's sternum, and the goggles go flying. The hood falls back, and it's a kid, maybe 17 years old, face pale, eyes wide with something Hyunwoo recognizes. The same look he had 5 years ago when Gu's men dragged his mother's body away. The kid is terrified. Hyunwoo hesitates. That half-second almost kills him. The woman with the swords has recovered, and one of her blades opens a line of fire across Hyunwoo's back. He drops and rolls, and the second sword bites into the floor where his head was a heartbeat ago. The kid scrambles backward toward the door, and Hyunwoo can't worry about him anymore. He needs both hands for the woman. She presses the attack, and Hyunwoo gives ground. Her swords move in patterns he can barely track, and the collar fragment keeps disrupting his gravity every time he tries to pin her down. He's been trained to kill people exactly like him, but Hyunwoo spent 5 years training under a man who helped design the Order's weapons. Kang taught him about the collar fragments back at the temple months ago. The collars are powerful but fragile. The energy cycling through them creates a feedback loop at the clasp. The woman lunges, and Hyunwoo stops retreating. He steps into her attack and her sword grazes his cheek, and he doesn't care. His hand closes around her throat, and his thumb finds the clasp of the collar. He channels gravity directly into the mechanism. Not the woman, not the fragment. Just the tiny point where metal meets metal. The clasp shatters. The collar falls away, and the woman's eyes go wide for the first time. Without the fragment shielding her, she's just a woman with 2 swords and very fast reflexes. Hyunwoo increases her personal gravity to 12 times normal in half a second. She hits the floor so hard the boards crack under her cheek. The swords clatter out of her grip. Hyunwoo leaves her there, pinned and gasping, and turns to find the kid. The hooded figure is gone. The sedans are still idling in the courtyard, but the passenger door of the lead vehicle is open, and Hyunwoo catches a glimpse of movement in the point tree line. He weighs the pursuit for one breath and decides against it. He's bleeding from his back and his ribs are screaming, and the woman on the floor is still fighting the gravity field. If he chases the kid now, he'll be useless against whatever's waiting in the bunker. He lets the spotter run. Kang emerges from the rear corridor with GU behind him and a heavy iron pry bar in his hand. He looks at the big man dead on the floor and the woman pinned under 12 times gravity, and the blood dripping down Hyunwoo's back. Kang asks if this is all of them. Hyunwoo says one got away. Kang's face tightens, and he says they have to move before the spotter calls for backup. Hyunwoo crouches next to the woman and reduces her gravity to 3 times normal. Just enough to keep her on the ground, but let her talk. He asks her how many more teams are coming. She stares up at him and her face is blank again. She says nothing. Hyunwoo increases the gravity to 5 times, and her ribs creak. She tells him there are 7 inner circle members, and each controls a fragment, and they don't need more than 1 team to handle a rogue wielder. Hyunwoo asks who sent them. She says the Archon, and her eyes flick sideways for just an instant when she says it, like she's surprised the name came out of her mouth. GU is already pulling up a new search on her tablet with shaking hands. Kang tells Hyunwoo they need to leave the temple. The spotter will return with reinforcements, and the inner circle won't make the same mistake twice. Hyunwoo stands up and his back burns, and the stone is still warm and steady against his chest. He asks the woman one more question. Where is Gu Myung-soo's bunker? She doesn't answer, and he doesn't push. He already knows the answer from GU's schematic. The question was a test. She failed it. Hyunwoo increases her gravity to 8 times and holds it until her eyes roll back. He doesn't kill her, but she won't be following anyone for a while. Kang grabs a go bag from the storage room, and GU slings the pulse generator over her shoulder. They move through the rear gate and into the woods behind the temple. Sedans are still running in the courtyard, but none of them are in any shape to drive. The black sedan Kang gave Hyunwoo is hidden under a tarp a quarter mile down the service road. They reach it in 12 minutes. And Hyunwoo's vision is starting to swim by the time he drops into the driver's seat. The kid's counterpulse rattled something loose inside him, and the adrenaline is wearing off. Kang takes the keys out of his hand. Hyunwoo wants to argue, but Kang tells him he's no good to anyone dead. He says Hyunwoo just fought 2 Order assassins with bonded fragments and won. The boy who ran will tell the inner circle everything. They'll know Hyunwoo's capabilities, and they'll know his limits, and the next fight will be worse. Better to rest now while they can. GU is in the back seat with the tablet open and a map of the Mapo-gu storm drain system glowing on the screen. Her ankle is still swollen from the factory, and there's a bruise on her cheekbone that wasn't there 3 days ago. She looks up and catches Hyunwoo's eyes in the rearview mirror. She asks if he's okay. Hyunwoo says he's fine, and the lie is so obvious, neither of them acknowledges it. Kang turns the sedan onto the highway, and the temple disappears behind them. The city is dark, and the streetlights are flickering. And somewhere in Yongsan, Gu Myung-soo is waiting in his bunker. The spotter will reach him first. Gu will know Hyunwoo is coming. The stone pulses once, twice, steady as a heartbeat. Hyunwoo closes his eyes and lets the sedan carry him toward the next fight. He's done running. The storm drain access point is exactly where GU's coordinates said it would be. A rusted grate set into a concrete embankment behind an abandoned warehouse in Mapo-gu. The warehouse windows are dark, and the chain on the gate is old. But Kang cuts through it in 30 seconds with a pair of bolt cutters from the go bag. GU hands Hyunwoo the magnetic pulse generator. It's a compact cylinder about the size of a thermos, matte black, with a single activation switch and a 10-second charge light. She says it'll knock out every electronic lock in the bunker corridor for about 2 minutes before the backup systems kick in. She got it from a contact in the military procurement division, who owes her 3 favors. Hyunwoo straps the generator to his belt next to the tactical knife. Kang pulls the storm drain grate off, and a wave of cold, damp air rushes out. Tunnel is narrow, barely wide enough for a grown man to crawl through on his stomach. GU shines a flashlight into the darkness, and the beam catches moving water about 6 inches deep. The walls are covered in black mold, and the smell is exactly what you'd expect from a sewer that hasn't been serviced since 1997. Hyunwoo doesn't hesitate. He drops into the tunnel and starts crawling. The water soaks through his clothes in seconds, and the cold bites into the wound on his back. His ribs protest every movement, and his shoulder throbs where the big man's filaments scorched him. The stone pulses against his chest, and he uses it to push back the pain. Kang follows behind him with a flashlight clamped in his teeth. Ji-yu stays at the access point with the tablet and the earpiece. She's their eyes on the outside, and if anything moves near the warehouse entrance, she'll warn them. The tunnel runs for about 200 meters before it widens into a junction chamber. Hyunwoo pulls himself upright, and his joints scream and the stone hums. The chamber is circular, maybe 8 feet across, with old maintenance ladders rusting into the walls. The bunker's eastern corridor should be directly ahead, 20 meters through another narrow passage. Kang pulls the flashlight out of his mouth and whispers that the Order always seals their facilities with a biometric lock at minimum. Hyunwoo nods and pulls out the pulse generator. He crawls through the final passage, and his head emerges into a wider corridor with poured concrete walls and emergency lighting strips running along the floor. The air is stale but breathable. At the end of the corridor is a blast door, heavy steel, 4 inches thick, with a keypad and a retinal scanner beside the handle. Hyunwoo presses the generator against the door's control panel and hits the activation switch. The charge light blinks for exactly 10 seconds, and then the generator hums, and the keypad sparks and the scanner flickers. The lock disengages with a heavy clunk. 2 minutes. Hyunwoo shoulders the blast door open and steps into the bunker's eastern corridor. The first thing he notices is the silence. No alarms and no guards, and no sound at all except the hum of ventilation fans somewhere deeper inside. The second thing he notices is the layout. 7 radial corridors branching off a central chamber, just like Kang predicted. The Order loves their mandala patterns. Hyunwoo moves down the corridor with the stone feeding him spatial information. He can feel the walls and the floor and the pipes running through the concrete. And he can feel something else too. 5 heartbeats in the corridor ahead, 2 more in an adjacent room. Gu didn't empty his bunker, he filled it. Kang's voice crackles in his earpiece and tells him the pulse generator's window is closing. Hyunwoo doesn't answer, and he doesn't slow down. The first 2 guards round the corner at a dead sprint, and Hyunwoo drops them both with a gravity wave that slams them into the ceiling before they can raise their weapons. They hit the floor unconscious, and Hyunwoo steps over them without breaking stride. The next 3 are smarter. They're spread out in a defensive formation at the entrance to the central chamber. 2 with rifles and 1 with a heavy shield that hums with chi-reactive energy. The shield is the problem. Hyunwoo tests it with a gravity spike, and the filaments light up, but the shield holds. The riflemen open fire. Hyunwoo drops his gravity and launches himself upward, boots hitting the ceiling, running 3 steps upside down before gravity reasserts, and he drops behind the shield bearer. The rifleman can't adjust fast enough. Hyunwoo knocks the shield bearer's legs out from under him with a gravity burst to the back of the knees. The shield tips and the rifleman's sightlines break. Hyunwoo is on them before they can reacquire their targets. He disarms the first with a gravity twist that snaps the rifle out of his grip. The second takes a weighted glove punch to the temple with triple gravity behind it. All 5 guards are down in under 40 seconds. The stone is singing against his chest, and his nose is starting to bleed, but he's still well within his 20-minute limit. He's been counting. 11 minutes of sustained channeling used. 9 minutes left before his brain starts paying the check. The central chamber is a circular room 3 stories high, with catwalks ringing the walls, and a command console in the center. 6 monitors show live feeds from cameras around the bunker. Hyunwoo can see himself on one of them. On another screen, he sees Gu Myung-soo in a panic room at the end of the western corridor. The room is sealed with a blast door twice as thick as the one at the entrance. Gu is pacing with a phone pressed to his ear, and his free hand is clutching the gravity amulet around his neck. His face is gray with fear. The spotter got here first, after all. Hyunwoo ignores the command console and heads for the western corridor. The 2 additional heartbeats he felt earlier are waiting for him halfway down. Not guards, enforcers. Both are wearing the same metal collars as the woman at the temple. But these ones are bigger, and the fragments embedded in them glow brighter. The Order sent their best to protect Gu Myung-soo. It won't matter. Hyunwoo doesn't stop, and he doesn't slow, and he certainly doesn't announce himself. He just floods the entire corridor with 15 times gravity, and watches both enforcers hit the floor. Their collars flare and push back, but the fragments are smaller than his stone, and they're fighting a losing battle. Hyunwoo walks past them while they're pinned to the concrete, and every step he takes makes the gravity heavier. By the time he reaches the panic room door, the enforcers are unconscious, and the collars have cracked down the middle. The blast door in front of him is the thickest he's seen yet. 6 inches of reinforced steel with a manual locking mechanism on the inside. No electronics for the pulse generator to fry. Gu designed this room to survive a siege. Hyunwoo places both palms flat against the steel and closes his eyes. The stone's hum rises to a scream. He channels every drop of gravity energy he has left into a single point at the exact center of the door. The metal groans, buckles. The locking mechanism shears with a sound like a cannon going off. Hyunwoo pushes and the door falls inward. Gu Myung-soo is standing at the back of the panic room with his phone dropped on the floor and the amulet glowing against his chest. His face is pale and his hands are shaking, and there is nowhere left for him to run. Hyunwoo steps over the ruined door, and Gu raises the amulet. A counter-gravity field fills the room, and Hyunwoo feels the pressure trying to push him back. He doesn't even slow down. His stone swallows the amulet's frequency like it's nothing. The amulet sparks and dims, and Gu's last line of defense dissolves in front of his eyes. Hyunwoo stands over the man who killed his father. Gu opens his mouth to say something, and Hyunwoo doesn't care what it is. This isn't the time for confessions or explanations or last words. This is the time for gravity. Hyunwoo increases the force around Gu's body slowly. 1 times normal, 3 times. Gu's knees hit the floor. The amulet cracks and falls from his neck. Gu's mouth is still moving, but Hyunwoo can't hear him over the roar of the stone. 10 times gravity and Gu's hands are flat against the floor. 15 times and his arms give out. Hyunwoo looks down at the man who started all of this and doesn't feel the satisfaction he expected. He feels tired. He feels the 17 minutes of channeling burning through his skull. He feels the weight of 5 years of training and 3 days of fighting and 1 lifetime of loss pressing down on him. He increases the gravity to 18 times. Gu Myung-soo stops moving. Hyunwoo stands in the silence of the panic room, with the stone cooling against his chest and the man who murdered his family dead at his feet. His nose is bleeding, and his back is bleeding, and his vision is starting to blur at the edges. He reaches down and picks up the shattered amulet. Then he turns and walks out of the bunker the same way he came in. The enforcers are still unconscious, and the guards are still down, and the command console is still showing the live feed of an empty panic room. Kang's voice crackles in his earpiece and asks if it's done. Hyunwoo says yes. 1 word, and then he keeps walking. The storm drain tunnel is waiting for him, and the cold water will feel good against his burns. Ji-yu is waiting at the access point with dry clothes and a first aid kit and questions he's not ready to answer. Kang is waiting with the sedan, and the knowledge that killing Gu was never the end. The inner circle is still out there. 7 members bonded to 7 fragments, and they just lost one of their pawns. They'll send more assassins and stronger enforcers, and eventually, they'll send the Archon himself. Hyunwoo crawls through the final passage and emerges into the cold night air. Ji-yu helps him up and doesn't say anything about the blood on his face. He hands her the broken amulet. She looks at it and looks at him and nods. They get in the sedan and Kang drives, and the city is still dark, and the streetlights are still flickering. Hyunwoo leans his head against the window. The stone pulses, once, twice, steady. He closes his eyes. Tomorrow, the hunt for the inner circle begins. Tonight, he lets himself rest. The sedan eats up the wet asphalt, and Kang doesn't say a word for the first 10 minutes. Hyunwoo's head is against the window, and the glass is cold against the split in his forehead. Ji-yu sits in the back seat with the broken amulet cupped in both hands like it might bite her. The stone against Hyunwoo's chest pulses. Once, twice, steady. He doesn't open his eyes. The city scrolls past in smears of orange streetlight, and the dashboard clock reads 2:47 a.m. Kang takes the long way back, doubling through the Mapo-gu side streets, checking the rearview mirror every 15 seconds. Nobody follows. The safe house this time isn't the pharmacy, and it isn't the temple, and it definitely isn't the apartment in Sinchon. Kang pulls into an underground parking garage beneath a condemned office building in Yeongdong-po. The sedan's headlights sweep across water-stained concrete and a single freight elevator with a padlock the size of a fist. Kang kissed the engine. Nobody moves for a long moment. Then Hyunwoo opens his eyes. He pushes the door open and stands, and his legs hold. And that's good enough. Ji-yu gets out with the amulet, and Kang pops the trunk and pulls out a duffel bag that clinks when it moves. Freight elevator groans to life after Kang works the padlock, and they ride up to the 5th floor in silence. The room they step into used to be a records office. Steel shelving units divide the space into narrow corridors, and someone has hung blackout curtains over every window. A portable camp stove sits on a filing cabinet next to a case of bottled water and a military-grade first aid kit. There are 3 cots against the far wall with wool blankets that smell like mothballs. Kang sets the duffel down and starts unpacking. Hyunwoo walks to the nearest cot and sits, and the springs complain under his weight. Ji-yu stays standing. She looks at the amulet in her hands, and she looks at Hyunwoo. and she looks at the blood crusted on the back of his jacket. Nobody asks if he's okay, because nobody needs to. Kang tosses him a roll of bandages and a bottle of antiseptic. Hyunwoo catches both without looking. The stone told him they were coming. It tells him a lot of things now. He peels off his jacket, and the shirt underneath is stuck to the wound on his back, and he doesn't wince when it tears free. Ji-yu turns away and busies herself with the camp stove. The water boils and she pours 3 cups of instant coffee that tastes like burnt cardboard. Hyunwoo drinks his in 3 swallows. Kang sits on the cot opposite him and leans forward with his elbows on his knees. The old man looks every one of his 63 years tonight. He says Gu Myung-soo is dead. Hyunwoo says yes. Kang nods slowly like he's turning the fact over in his mind and doesn't know what to do with it yet. He asks if Hyunwoo got the amulet. Ji-yu holds it up, and the shattered crystal catches the light from the single bulb overhead. It doesn't glow anymore. Whatever frequency it used to carry is gone, and the fragments are just dead stone now. Kang takes it from her and turns it over. He says it's synthetic, a knockoff grown in a lab, and the efficiency was never more than about 10%. Hyunwoo already knew that. The stone told him that too. The silence stretches for another minute, and then Ji-yu asks the question they've all been avoiding. She asks what comes next. Hyunwoo sets the empty cup on the floor. He says the inner circle is still out there. Kang says they'll send more assassins. Hyunwoo says he's counting on it. He stands and walks to the blackout curtain and pulls it back just enough to see the city below. The streetlights are still flickering. The city doesn't know what happened tonight, and it won't care when it finds out. He lets the curtain fall. He turns back to Kang and Ji-yu, and his face is unreadable. He says, the Order has been operating in the shadows for at least 23 years. Kang flinches at the number. Hyunwoo doesn't miss it. He says Kang worked for them, and Kang defected, and Kang spent 5 years training him without telling him the full truth. Kang opens his mouth. Hyunwoo raises a hand and Kang closes it. Hyunwoo says he's not interested in apologies. He's interested in information. Every name Kang remembers, and every location Kang visited, and every fragment the Order ever bonded to a member. Kang stares at him for a long moment. Then he reaches into the duffel bag and pulls out a leather-bound notebook. The cover is cracked and the pages are yellow, and the handwriting inside is cramped and hurried. Kang says this is everything he wrote down before he ran. 23 years of research and field notes, and the names of every scientist who worked in the division. Hyunwoo takes the notebook. He doesn't open it yet. He asks how many of those scientists are still alive. Kang says maybe 3, maybe 4, and he hasn't spoken to any of them since he ran. Hyunwoo tucks the notebook into his jacket pocket. He says they start tomorrow. Ji-yu asks where. Hyunwoo says with the first name on the list. The coffee is cold, and the night is old, and the 3 of them sit in the records office with the weight of everything that's coming pressing down on the air. Kang stretches out on his cot with a grunt, and Ji-yu wraps herself in a wool blanket, and Hyunwoo stays sitting with his back against the wall. The stone hums against his chest. He doesn't sleep. He's done sleeping. Dawn leaks through the blackout curtains and turns the room gray. Ji-yu wakes first and brews more terrible coffee, and Kang sits up with his joints cracking like dry twigs. Hyunwoo is already standing at the shelving unit he's been using as a desk, with the notebook open in front of him. He's been reading for 3 hours. He knows the first name now. Dr. Yoon Suk-jin, senior researcher in the Order's artifact bonding program, and the man who designed the synthetic amulet that Gu Myung-soo wore around his neck. Kang confirms it when Hyunwoo reads the name aloud. He says Yoon was the smartest of them, and the most dangerous, and the one who believed in the Order's mission more than anyone else. Hyunwoo asks what the mission was. Kang's face goes hard. He says the Order believes gravity is the fundamental force of creation, and the stone fragments are pieces of something older than humanity, something that shouldn't exist. They want to reunite the fragments, and whoever bonds with the complete stone becomes something that isn't human anymore. Hyunwoo looks down at the stone pulsing against his chest. He asks what they'd become. Kang says he doesn't know, and nobody ever got that far, and the child who died screaming 23 years ago was the closest they came. The room goes quiet again. Ji-yu sets a cup of coffee next to Hyunwoo, and he doesn't touch it. He closes the notebook. He says Yoon Suk-jin is still alive and still working for the Order, and still running a research facility in Incheon. Ji-yu asks how he knows that. Hyunwoo says the woman with the metal collar told him before she passed out. She gave up 3 names, and Yoon's was the first. Kang looks at Hyunwoo with something that might be pride or might be fear. He asks if Hyunwoo is planning to hit the facility. Hyunwoo says he's planning to burn it to the ground. They spend the morning planning. Ji-yu pulls up satellite images on her tablet, and Kang marks the weak points in the facility's layout from memory. The building used to be a maritime research center before the Order bought it through a shell company. 2 floors above ground and 3 below, And the really dangerous work happens in the sub-basements. Kang says the security will be heavier than the bunker. The inner circle knows Hyunwoo is coming, and they know what he can do, and they won't make the same mistake twice. Hyunwoo listens and nods and doesn't say much. The stone hums, and he lets the spatial information wash over him. The building's footprint in his mind is a cold blue grid with gaps where the underground levels don't match the surface layout. He traces the corridors one by one. By noon, he has the whole thing memorized. He stands and stretches, and the wound on his back pulls, but doesn't tear. Kang says they should wait at least 3 days. Let the Order's attention shift, and let the manhunt cool, and let Hyunwoo's body finish healing. Hyunwoo says no. He says the Order just lost Gu Myung-soo and 2 enforcers, and a chunk of their reputation. They're off balance, and they're scrambling, and that's exactly when you hit them. Ji-yu looks at Kang. Kang looks at the floor. He knows Hyunwoo is right. They leave at sundown. The sedan's tank is full, and the plates have been swapped again. And Ji-yu drives this time because Kang's hands are shaking. Hyunwoo sits in the passenger seat with the notebook open on his knee and the stone's pulse keeping time with the streetlights flickering past. The drive to Incheon takes an hour. The facility sits on a reclaimed strip of land between the port and an abandoned container yard. The sodium lights are still on, and the perimeter fence is topped with razor wire. And there are 2 guards at the main gate who don't know they're about to have a very bad night. Hyunwoo tells Ji-yu to park a kilometer out and wait. Kang hands him a fresh earpiece and a new tactical knife and a magnetic pulse generator that's bigger than the last one. Hyunwoo takes the gear and steps out of the sedan, and the cold night air hits his face. The stone's hum rises to a steady thrum. He walks toward the fence, and the gravity around him bends, and he vaults the razor wire without touching it. The guards at the gate don't see him coming. He pins them both with 10 times gravity before they can reach for their radios, and then he's through the front door and inside the facility. The corridors are white and sterile and smell like antiseptic and ozone. Hyunwoo moves fast. He floods each room he passes with a gravity wave and maps the occupants before they know he's there. 3 researchers in the East Wing and 2 security guards in the lobby, and something in the sub-basement that doesn't read like a human heartbeat. He takes the stairs down. The temperature drops with every level. By the time he reaches the second sub-basement, his breath is fogging, and the stone is pulsing hard enough to feel through his jacket. The door at the end of the corridor is reinforced steel with a biometric lock. Hyunwoo presses the magnetic pulse generator against the control panel and waits for the charge light to go green. The lock clicks, and the door swings open. Dr. Yoon Suk-jin is standing in the center of the room, with his hands behind his back and a smile on his face. He's older than his file photo and thinner, and his eyes are the same flat gray as the concrete walls. He says he's been expecting Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo doesn't stop walking. Yoon says the inner circle sent word 3 hours ago, and he's had time to prepare a welcome. He gestures at the room around them. The walls are lined with glass tanks, and the tanks are filled with a thick green fluid. And inside each tank is a body. 7 tanks and 7 bodies, and every single one of them is breathing. Hyunwoo stops. Yoon's smile widens. He says these are the failed subjects from the bonding program. The ones who couldn't handle the fragments and broke under the strain. The Order keeps them alive for study. Hyunwoo looks at the bodies floating in the green fluid. Their chests rise and fall, and their eyes are closed. And some of them are children. Yoon says Hyunwoo is the first successful bond in 23 years. He says the stone chose Hyunwoo, and that makes Hyunwoo very valuable to the Order. He says they don't want to kill him anymore. They want to study him. Hyunwoo turns his head and looks at Yoon, and the stone's hum rises to a scream. He says Yoon has about 10 seconds to tell him everything he knows about the inner circle. Yoon's smile flickers. He says Hyunwoo doesn't understand what he's dealing with. The Order isn't just 7 members with fragments and an Archon pulling the strings. The Order is older than the fragments, and older than the stone, and older than any civilization that ever touched gravity. Hyunwoo starts counting down from 10. Yoon's hand moves toward a button on his desk. Hyunwoo reaches 9, and the gravity in the room shifts. Yoon freezes with his hand 6 inches from the button, and his eyes go wide. Hyunwoo holds him there with 15 times gravity and walks past the glass tanks and the floating bodies. He stops in front of Yoon and looks down at the man who designed the amulet that killed his father. He doesn't feel satisfaction, and he doesn't feel anger, and he doesn't feel much of anything. He feels the stone humming, and the weight of the facility pressing down, and the heartbeats of 7 failed subjects beating in sync with his own. He asks Yoon one more time. 8 seconds, and then Hyunwoo stops counting. The pressure around Yoon's body increases, and the man's hand is forced flat against the desk, and the button is 2 inches from his fingers, and he can't reach it. Yoon talks. The words come fast and desperate, and Hyunwoo listens without moving. The inner circle meets every month at a location that changes based on a rotating cipher. The next meeting is in 9 days, and the location is encoded in a ledger that Yoon keeps in a safe behind his desk. The Archon is real, and Yoon has met him twice, and both times, the man was wearing a mask that distorted his voice. The 7 fragments are bonded to 7 individuals, and if one of them dies, the fragment is passed to a successor within 24 hours. The order cannot be decapitated. It can only be dismantled piece by piece. Hyunwoo takes the safe combination from Yoon and opens it and finds the ledger. He tucks it into his jacket next to Kang's notebook. Then he turns back to Yoon, and the man is crying now and begging and promising he'll cooperate. Hyunwoo looks at the glass tanks. He looks at the children floating in the green fluid. He increases the gravity to 18 times. Yoon Suk-jin stops moving. The stone's hum drops back to a steady pulse, and Hyunwoo walks out of the sub-basement and up the stairs and through the white corridors. He stops at the main security panel in the lobby and downloads every file he can find onto a portable drive. Then he walks out the front door and past the unconscious guards and over the fence. Ji-yu is waiting with the sedan, and Kang is in the back seat with his eyes closed. Hyunwoo gets in and hands Ji-yu the drive and the ledger. He says they have 9 days. Ji-yu starts the engine and pulls onto the highway, and the facility recedes in the rearview mirror. The stone pulses against Hyunwoo's chest, and the city is still dark, and the hunt is just getting started. Kang asks how many people were in the building. Hyunwoo says, 7 bodies in tanks, and 1 dead researcher and nobody else worth counting. Kang doesn't ask anything else. They drive back to the records office, and Hyunwoo spends the next 6 hours decrypting the files on the portable drive. Ji-yu works the ledger, and Kang makes coffee, and nobody sleeps. The files confirm what Yoon said. 7 inner circle members and a rotating meeting schedule, and an Archon who runs the whole thing from a location nobody has ever identified. The ledger gives them a date and a city and a building, and the building is in Busan. 9 days. Hyunwoo closes the laptop and leans back in his chair. The stone's pulse is steady, and his wounds are healing, and the weight of everything he's learned is settling into his bones. He thinks about his father and his mother, and the dock, and the cold water. He thinks about Gu Myung-soo's face in the panic room, and the crack of the amulet, and the silence afterward. He thinks about the 7 members of the inner circle, and the Archon behind them. He thinks about 9 days and what he can do with 9 days. He stands and walks to the window and pulls back the blackout curtain. The sun is rising over Yeongdong-po, and the city is waking up. Somewhere out there, the inner circle is regrouping, and the Archon is issuing orders, and the hunt for Seo Hyunwoo is only going to intensify. He lets the curtain fall. He turns back to Kang and Ji-yu and says they're going to Busan. And this time, they're not waiting for the order to come to them. The stone hums, and somewhere in the city, a phone rings in a room full of people who don't yet know they're already dead.